Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, October 21st. And as always, we're joined by people who care about changing the world using the technology that is in our hands and in our minds. We are bringing tools, and one of those tools is called blockchain technology. And Beyond Bitcoin was built as a means for people to connect easily without the barriers of geographical location and having to travel to meetups and so on. This is a place where it doesn't matter where you live. Within 5 minutes, you can be set up with your Mumble client and you can join us and hang out, listen to other people who join up to talk about the technology beyond Bitcoin that we are working on here and that we are covering here. Or you can join up if you have your own project and you can talk about what you are doing with those projects. Everybody who is into the bleeding edge of technology, especially in places like blockchain technology, are aware that this is the wild, wild west. And a lot of people go out asking for money and not providing a whole lot of value in return. It is the belief of people like me who are holding these hangouts to offer transparency on a project, and to be consistently able to offer that transparency is something that over time will be found to be golden to those who are looking for projects that they don't want to just pump and dump and try to make money as quickly as possible, but they want to build real solid foundations of value. And without those people, we are on shaky ground indeed. So I want to thank everybody who participates in these hangouts, and I don't want you guys to ever forget how valuable this service is and your participation therein. And I do want to let everybody know that we have it set up right now using Steem, which is one of the tools that is available based on a blockchain. It is a social network where people can go, and we are actually allowing them to use the voting power to upvote various content and different projects that are being covered. So if you are a guest speaker here today, you are most likely going to be receiving a cut of the RSVP threads Steem dollars earned, and those who attended last week received approximately 36 Steem dollars. Make sure to sign up for this RSVP thread and also to promote it, because those promotions are going to directly impact your own payment. So thank you very much for joining up. And I'm going to start off today. It looks like we have PeerPlays at number one with $5.35. And Crypto Prometheus and Data Security Node, are you guys there?
I certainly am.
All right. Well, you guys are ready to go?
We are ready to go.
To talk about the PeerPlays project. Okay. I'm going to step down from the podium and I will hand you the talking stick.
Thank you very much, Fuzzy. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs, the company which heads up the PeerPlays project. And this week's update is to let you know that you should go check out www.peerplays.com, because we just launched our brand new design for our website. With that, we are introducing all new content, which features some of the interesting dApps, decentralized applications, which are going to be first featured on the PeerPlays website. So you'll notice that the first thing is that we will have Instant Lotto. We will also have Texas Hold'em, and we'll also have sports betting. So those are the three main featured dApps which will be running on the PeerPlays project, and you can see that on our new designed website that now features our cool logo, which we had designed earlier in the summer via the contest we put on. In addition to that, this past week, the testnet has been going well. Gaming logic in the back end is solid. Right now, we're working on the graphical interface, serialization optimization, new functions in the API testing are all going well. So that's all on course. And if you noticed, after our update last week, we had a record in trading in the markets for PeerPlays to BTC, all-time high of over $80,000 in volume, I think it was. So all in all, it's been a very good week for the PeerPlays project, and very excited about the prospects of what's coming forward. And if there are any questions, I'll pass it off to Michael. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Data.
Thank you, Jonathan. This is Michael Maloney speaking. I'm the communications manager and also one of the project managers for the PeerPlays project. And I'm actually just here to answer any questions that you have today. So if anybody has any questions about the PeerPlays project, let me know.
Well, I have one question that I want to ask, and then, of course, I want to make sure that everybody here is aware you're more than welcome to speak up, and this is actually the perfect place and time to do so. The gaming logic, is that what Data Security Node said was completed this week?
Yes, he's referring to the game itself on-chain, the back-end logic. Yes.
And what game specifically is this? Are you able to tell us?
Not yet, Fuzzy, but it will be released. We're working on the graphic user interface right now, just integrating the back end with the GUI. I think most of the GUI is set in terms of the design and frames and screens and things like that. So we're just sort of in the last stages of hooking everything together. So no, that announcement won't come until the game is actually on the testnet. So we're going to keep you in suspense there a little bit longer, Fuzzy.
Sounds good. I'll just leave it at that. Now, does anybody else have any questions, comments? This is the time to do it.
Yeah, I do. This week, I participated in a... Am I echoing something?
Techno Comanche.
Thank you. Anyway, I've always been one who advocated for things like lotteries built into Steemit, where new users occasionally get a jackpot, and I've gotten some resistance to that, and I never really understood it. And it just hit me at a recent talk I was giving, where I also mentioned PeerPlays, that I personally don't have any problem with gambling. I've never been tempted. There's never been any gambling addiction in my family. I don't really relate to it. And it just hit me that that's what some of the resistance is about. And I was kind of oblivious to it because it doesn't personally affect me. And I know that just like Silk Road actually, took violence out of the drug market and is a good thing, that's also going to be with PeerPlays and gambling. It is going to be a good thing. It's going to take some of the problems away. But I'm just wondering how you deal with that objection, and if there's going to be any corporate efforts to help mitigate the effects of people who have gambling addiction.
Well, those are great questions, Brindle Swan. Thank you very much for asking those. First of all, I think I would mention, just from sort of a very basic level, something that Jonathan is fond of saying, is that we're saving lives. And what he means by that, and what we mean by that, is that all bets on PeerPlays have to be collateralized. You have to own the money. You have to possess the money, the tokens, before you can wager. So unlike the real world, where a lot of a gambling addiction is tied up in borrowing money, PeerPlays makes it a little harder to do that. So that's something that's sort of just one of the positive aspects of moving this onto the blockchain. In terms of corporate efforts, yes, the association that we're setting up, which we'll be announcing soon. We're still in the process of finalizing all of that. But part of our strategy will be on the public relations side. We've got actually some ideas about the lottery that are very interesting, and I'm going to refrain from talking too much about it at this stage, because we still need to sort of go through and discuss what we're going to talk about publicly and what we're going to kind of keep behind the scenes for a little while here, because we've got some really very sort of forward and interesting ideas that we don't want to quite put out there yet, as have everyone kind of running after them and trying to figure out how to do them. So. But in terms of public relations, that's something that we've taken very seriously and given a lot of thought to, because of the potentially very disruptive nature of what we're doing. And so, just to sorry if I'm being broad in answering your question, Brindleswat, but yes, handling that side of things is going to be a top priority. So how we do that. Like I said, we've got certain plans in terms of presentation, in terms of transparency. We even have some ideas in terms of charities and things like that. So, but yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, we've never really raised that topic before, so I'm just glad that we covered it a little today. Thank you.
I've often thought, since meeting Dan Robles, he really has started me thinking about insurance on the blockchain, right? And I've found myself wondering if maybe this would be something that could be valuable for gamblers. Like, for instance, I join up and I get to set how much of the rake that, if I win it, how much of it will go to a quote unquote insurance fund, and various people can add to this insurance fund. And if you end up going overboard, maybe that would be a good way. Now, of course, this is just an idea at present. And if it were implemented, I don't know exactly what would happen. This would be an experiment in every regard, right? But what do you guys think about this?
Fuzzy, I'm so sorry, man. I was actually reading the sidebar and I didn't hear your question. Could you repeat it?
Oh, I was just asking, what do you think about insurance on the blockchain for something like maybe a way of people who are joining up to PeerPlays? What are your thoughts of if, let's say, user A joins PeerPlays and he says, I'm going to, it prompts him and says, we have insurance tokens here in case, you lose everything. We recommend you try not to lose everything. But if this does happen, we have an insurance fund that you can put a part of the rake to. And then you could even say our competitors would take that rake, but we would recommend that you put X amount into insurance tokens on PeerPlays. And that would actually bring you right in line with having our competitors rake, but also having something like that insurance.
Yeah, I'm not really wrapping my mind around, exactly what the concept is you're presenting. I mean, in every situation, one person's going to lose. I don't understand how an insurance fund would really pay out in that way. I do think that there's a lot of merit around the ideas that have been discussed in terms of mutual aid societies and things like that. I haven't really seen anything convincing in terms of insuring people against gambling losses. I'm sure there's something that can be done in that respect, but it's not, to be completely honest, it's not something we've really looked into at this stage.
Oh, definitely no. I'm just kind of curious what everybody thinks about the idea, because this is just something that has been kind of floating around in my head that I haven't really brought up. But he brings up this point at a time when I guess this might be something to talk about. But with that said, IntelliGuy asks here, does PeerPlays have a house for me to bet against?
No, not the PeerPlays network is peer-to-peer. So everything that happens on PeerPlays, all of the money that is collected for wagers, the network is just an intermediary. It splits that money out to the winners based on the games that are played. So there's no house that's accumulating funds. There's no centralized authority and or algorithm that's somehow taking all of the house funds and using them for specific purposes. In terms of paying out jackpots, of course, we have the DAC itself and how the revenues are routed in different ways, including profit sharing. But the jackpots are a result of players wagering and playing games, and the funds being escrowed by the blockchain and then released when the winner is verified. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure that it was just stated out loud. I noticed that this was posted here. Desbest is saying here about Texas Hold'em. Could you elaborate what is available? Is it a pot limit, no limit, or both? How do you handle bot players on the chain, as there is no identity verification?
Yeah, sure, I can answer that. In terms of no limit and pot limit, I think both of them are going to be available. There's some different dynamics with both, but the bot, having bot players, so we've discussed this a little bit before. There's two different types of Texas Hold'em tournaments. The first type of tournament we're probably going to be looking at will be heads up, because that's sort of the quickest and easiest to implement. And heads up just simply means that you're playing against another player. We can probably do, brackets. Well, that's what we will be doing. I'm sorry, brackets that culminate in a final match. In terms of in that case, bots don't really matter, I would say, because of the nature of the game and the nature of being able to wager, to bluff, rather. I'm sorry. Any game that you can bluff in, bots become, it's extremely difficult to be effective. You have to have, bots that can learn and can respond, and you have to have players that are, you have to have a large data set to actually learn and understand a certain player's tendencies. So that we're not worried about bots and heads up. When it comes to tables, that's a different dynamic, and that is a valid question. And it's something that we have a number of different models that we've been modeling and discussing to overcome those issues. Everything from random seeding, player seeding, at tables. Is one of the main, I guess that's the main model that we've been looking at to solve the issue of, the main issue with, just to sort of give an overview in case anyone hasn't actually sat down at a table in a Texas Hold'em tournament online or doesn't know about it, is that if someone sits down, if someone is controlling multiple hands at a single table, then that puts them at a huge advantage over other players at that table. Not just because they can see more of the deck, and so that puts them at sort of a statistical advantage in terms of understanding how many cards are already out there, because they can see 2 or 3 players' hands at the same time, but also it gives them an advantage from just the dynamic of bluffing and the way that the leverage exists in a hand of Texas Hold'em when you have multiple players. You have a sort of almost an exponential advantage the more people's hands you can see at the table. So in case it's not totally clear what I'm talking about right now, what I mean is that if you have multiple accounts on on a server-side Texas Hold'em table game, and you are using all of those multiple accounts but sitting at the same table. So a table may have 6 players, and what I'm saying is you could control 3 of them, and then the other people sitting at the table have no idea that the same person is playing all 3 of those players' hands. And that is an issue that is solved with IP, blocking, and most of these sites will blacklist you if they find any suspicious activity at all. And of course, it's linked to your identity, your PayPal account, your bank account, things like that. So it's very difficult to get back on that network once you've been blacklisted, right? And that's how they try to solve it like this. It doesn't always work, but that's how a lot of the centralized poker sites solve these issues. So naturally, the issue of lack of identity verification, or the lack of PeerPlays being able to identify your identity because it's a decentralized network or a decentralized blockchain. That means that there's some unique challenges there when it comes to Texas Hold'em and tables. But that's something we've been working on for a while, and I think we've got a number of different solutions that are going to start to it probably won't be one solution that is that solves everything. But like everything else, we're going to start out with sort of the simplest version in terms of heads up Hold'em rather than table Hold'em, and then go from there.
What is the difference for somebody who doesn't know? Because I'm a poker expert, but what is the difference between heads up and the other one?
Well, heads up just means you're playing against one other player. And sitting at a table means that it goes around the table like any other card game. Gotcha. So, heads-up tournaments can be done just, for example, like, the single elimination tournament bracket, which we've got up on our testnet right now. That can be used for any heads-up game to pair players off and have it, reduced down to, in the United States, everyone thinks of March Madness basketball when they think of single elimination tournament brackets here. The Sweet 16 and the Final Four and the and the championship, or the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four. I think that's how it goes. Anyway, that's how it all reduces down to a single, head-to-head match, and your potential winnings on just on a single elimination tournament bracket are pretty nice. I mean, if you have and I'd have to look at the math again, but if you have something like 128 players, you have I think you have to win 6 games in a row, maybe 7, and you can and you win the entire jackpot. Now, if 128 players threw down $100 a piece, that's $12,800. So take out the network fees out of that. Say you've got $11,500 or $12,000, well, probably over $12,000 actually. Win 6 games in a row, win $12,000. So that's kind of the dynamic, roughly the math I just did in my head, but essentially that's the kind of tournament dynamics that a single elimination bracket offers in terms of wagering and winning.
Thank you. I'm looking here, just making sure I did not miss any questions. Does anybody have any questions that have not been covered today? No? Okay. Well, how have you, in terms of the participation, how do you guys stand? Have you guys had a lot of people who have been reaching out? Has anybody from here reached out?
Yeah, we've in terms of participation, are you talking about the testnet?
Yes.
Well, there's not a whole lot to do on the testnet just yet. You can register for tournaments. It's kind of cool. You can check it out. There's not anything that's super exciting happening there yet. So we do have people that have been on and registering for tournaments, and like I said last week, once we get the first game on there, we're going to start coordinating more with people in terms of getting on and setting up some tournaments, just to demonstrate. We'll get some good videos going. Like I said, Fuzzy and myself will have an epic showdown where we can finally resolve this conflict once and for all. And but yeah, I think that
a card game seems like a better way to do that than what Russia's doing right now.
I was going to show up at your door with my nunchucks. And
well, I mean, this isn't the presidential election, but I guess we can go that route.
Yeah. So what was your question? Have we had a lot of participation? Yeah. We've things have kind of been behind the scenes a lot for the last month or two. Getting the association set up, or the corporate structure set up, and building what we've built so far, and a lot of other things which we'll be talking about here soon. As soon as they're finalized, we're putting sort of the final touches on a lot of these things over the next couple of weeks. So so there's going to be more exciting things coming soon.
You mentioned the association. Now, you said, is this how this is created? It's an association as opposed to like it being incorporated. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about how this is going on, like what and why you guys chose to incorporate it as a specific thing.
Sure. I just because the ink isn't signed, I'm not going to go into all the details, but naturally I will have a show here when that is signed where I will go into all the details for everyone. But I will say just very briefly that it is a Canadian nonprofit organization as part of what we've set up. So that's what I mean by the association. There'll be more to come. You can look at a few other crypto projects in terms of, associations that they've set up, and you can probably have a sort of an idea of what we're doing. We have some unique and original things that we're doing as well that haven't been done on the legal front, on the legal side of things, and that's of course because of the sort of unique nature of the situation of what PeerPlays is going to be able to bring to the world and is bringing to the world. So that'll be sort of a topic for another discussion here. Once the ink is signed on that, I'll go ahead and go through and talk about that more.
Cool. I mean, can you talk a little bit about, just real quick, why somebody would go with, not necessarily you guys, but you've done obviously enough research in this that maybe you can talk a little bit about it. Why would a nonprofit organization be the route that you would see as the most beneficial?
Well, it's a complex topic, and I really can't. I'm afraid if I start answering that, at this stage, I'm going to start, having to go into things that I don't want to talk about just yet. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of, the reason I bring it up is because this is something that would be interested to bring into the discussion for Beyond Bitcoin, because that's part of the giving Beyond Bitcoin a decentralized ownership type of structure, right? So I just kind of am asking for multiple reasons, but also, for those who are listening, but I understand fully. And I'm not trying to like get you started so you'll start chewing on bigger and bigger pieces. That's not the intent. So just so you know.
I don't know. You're sneaky like that, Fuzzy.
Sometimes I am, but I'll tell you when I am.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for all your questions.
Does anybody else have any? Talkinator, Psycho Chico. It might be possible to get into that Y grid and get people to join up and do some gambling on PeerPlays.
I just have a comment that the new website for PeerPlays looks fantastic. It's very inviting and very tasteful and pretty interesting.
And is that the new PeerPlays.com site?
Yeah, go ahead and, for everyone who hasn't checked it out yet, go to PeerPlays.com. We've got the new website up there. That's got a lot of really good new information. There's going to be a few additions in the next couple days, but that links over to our news site, which is PeerPlays.com/news. There's also the frequently asked questions section that's linked to there. We're going to be updating the FAQs. I've asked Chris to keep me informed of a list of all the questions, and so we can continue to formulate the FAQs along the lines of what are actually frequently being asked. So that'll be updated, and you'll hopefully, if you've got questions, stop in the Rocket Chat channel. We'll answer them there, and then we can get them up on the FAQs too for other people to learn about. So the Rocket Chat channel, which is like a Slack channel, you can head to https://peerplays.chat and come and join the conversation over there. And then we're on Steemit as well. The handle on our handle on Steemit is PeerPlays, just PeerPlays, and all of our big announcements are sort of simulcast on the blockchain over there. So if you follow that, it's probably the easiest way to keep track of everything. And then we've got our thread on BitShares Talk and a thread on Bitcoin Talk as well, talking about the project. So,
well, thanks for joining up, man.
Yeah, thank you, Fuzzy, and thanks for all the questions, everybody. And see you again next week.
Okay, and enjoy your cut of the RSVP thread this week, guys. It'll be sent to the PeerPlays account then. Next up is Steemtrail, and that is going to be with 90 votes at $3.34. Who is going to be discussing Steemtrail today?
Hey, Fuzzy. Good morning. How you doing?
Wonderfully, man. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. It's important to have you guys on here to talk about the awesome projects that you're working on. So I'm like I just said, I always say to the other people here, I will step down from the podium and I'll let you go ahead and take the talking stick. And thank you for joining up, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity here. About a week ago, we launched a project called Steemtrail, and it's basically a combination of some of the ideas over the past 4 months that have kind of just formulated just from being in the community and seeing how the community interacts, how they engage each other, how we vote, and we've had several initiatives. We've had several initiatives that I've been involved with, but we never really been able to solve an issue that as far as decentralizing and making voting rewards more available to the majority of the categories, kind of spreading it out more. And the only way I saw and envisioned that we could do that is we needed to get more engagement from the community, because we have a lot of whales and a lot of people who vote and want to spread the votes around, but it takes more than just those guys doing that. I mean, we got to have more.
Yeah,
we'll give them another avenue to spread it out, because we got Robinhood, we got Curie. I think there's a couple more that's actually been out there. We've had individual teams, like I was part of Team Smooth, so we've had some of these initiatives there, but we all kind of just circled back around to where we once were. We wanted to spread things out, but they all kind of came center again, and and that was kind of just some really an experiment that we're trying, and a lot of things we do here, we're trying these things out because this platform really is, it is an experiment. It's a social experiment on, how people vote and how they, if money is involved, how they interact, and it's actually been pretty cool. So to get on with the Steemtrail and how it was formed, the vision was, instead of having the Robinhood Wells and the Curies out there who work their tails off, trying to spread these rewards out to newer members who may not get the exposure they get, let's get the Robinhoods and the Curies into each individual category and let the overall community participate in those categories and organically grow those categories. So, and again, this is more or less, this is an experiment to see how individuals will take a category like travel, how they'll grab that category, they will push the post for that category, and in turn can attract more Steemit members to the category that are already posting about it. But not only that, we now have an avenue for the outside travel bloggers and the people with the travel interest to come to, because one thing I've seen when trying to get Steemit out to the people I know is it's always been almost like a sale. It's like a sale saying, hey, you need to come, here's Steemit, come check it out. We do great rewards. We always put that monetization and the rewards in the forefront. And what happens is they come here and expecting those big rewards, and they don't get them. And then that turns some off. So instead of selling the rewards platform, that is fantastic, though. Graphene is just, I can't even, we'll have a whole nother discussion about that. But, but if we go out there and we sell I even hate using the word sell, but we introduce the travel category. Hey, we got a fantastic travel community on Steemit. You should come check us out. So then it's back to the emotional thing. What do people, what do they like? What are their interests? What's going to keep them engaged on the platform? If we're relying solely on the monetization and rewards to keep them engaged, we're going to have people leaving because it's not going to hit their expectation. But if their expectation is to truly and honestly come into this platform, talk about their interests,
but
things they love.
First it can. And this is fully automatic.
Sorry about that. I got another channel.
That wasn't you, dude. That was Techno Gomanchi popped up with this weird.
Okay.
I don't know what the heck it was, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, because I'm in Steam Speak. I thought he was. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, we attract new members. We get our current members who are engaged in the platform and to every interest that they have. It could be travel, art, photography, and we'll get them more engaged with that instead of chasing the dollar. Chasing what's trending. And that's one thing we noticed with Team Smooth is the trending at the time back in July was the introduce yourself posts, which are necessary, but they were kind of getting out of hand a little bit. So we had to give it some direction to clean the platform up and to
absolutely.
And okay, great. So we clean it up a little bit where people can truly get back to posting and reading what they are interested in. I guess that's us here, but Steemtrail, like I said, it's twofold. It does two things. It engages our existing community to help grow their interest, the categories that they're interested in, and secondly, it gives us an avenue to get those outside bloggers who do great work. But we need but the premise needs to be not just on rewards. It just needs to be a platform to get their content out, and that way we don't put that monetization first and blow up what their expectations are, and they leave. Because the most important thing we have here on our platform is our content, and it has to be good to keep people coming, day in and day out, and also retention. See, retention is never discussed. How do we keep our users engaged? How do we keep them on the platform? Because once we get them here, we should be able to. We want to keep them here because the hardest thing is getting them here. And the easiest thing should be
the
keeping them
hardest
here.
thing is getting them here and also setting them up to have the correct impression or of the platform before they approach it and actually join too, right?
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Now,
And
I've
right now,
heard you talk a lot about that, actually, and I hate to interrupt you, but you've covered a lot up to this point, and I would just like to take a pause if it's okay, and allow other people to ask a question if they have any questions.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Basically, from your talk, I had the understanding that there's a reason for what you're doing, and we need to encourage user engagement and all that sort of stuff. And I was reading your blog post about what it is, and I kind of get it, but if you could just maybe tell us in a very simple way, this is the way that you would post to the travel category now, and the improved reason of why you're going to post it to travel-trail is this reason. Like break it down into very small bits and simplistic.
Absolutely, great question. The simple way to look at this is we have travel curators there, and we're looking for more. I mean, this is an open project; it's not closed to anybody. If you want to come to the project and curate travel tagged post, we want you there, and that's part of it. We want to engage those members who are interested in travel, first of all, okay, and we want them to know that we have curators there in travel looking at their post every single day. There will not be a post that doesn't go unread. All right. So we got curators that are looking at the post every single day, and actually giving their input on there. So on how to make that post better as well. So if I'm a poster and my content is travel, I'm tagging that post as travel. Every one of them I'm tagging it correctly first of all in my main, because I want that to, that's what it's about. So I'm tagging it correctly first of all. I'm getting it in there, and I also know that people are they're reading it there. So we have people who may not be posting the travel all the time. They may have had a bad experience. They may have put a travel post out there. They got a couple pennies off of it, and they kind of quit, because now they're back into that mode of, okay, what's trending? What can I write about today that's going to make me more than 2 pennies? Now they know that there's people looking at that every day. It doesn't go unseen. Because that's one of the big problems we had was how do we get these new authors? How do we get them exposure, right? And a new author will come on, they'll write about something, and they may have a bad experience with that, and like, darn, they didn't like my travel content. Let me see what I can write about to at least make something off of this. So they kind of let it go. But if they know, I would, if I knew somebody was actually sitting there looking at it, I'll say, okay, let me send this to here. And if it's getting $1, $2, and that's the other part of this too, is the curation trails that we bring in, and that's very important too, because now the people who are engaged in that category can now join those voting trails and support those posts within those categories. So what we'll see is the value of these great posts. They'll start going from 50 cents to $1 to $2, and now we're adding more value to your travel category. And we can get some whales get 5 or 10% of their total vote. It doesn't have to be much. If it's only like 50 cents, that's better than what we were getting before. So this stuff starts to grow.
I've also noticed if you have a lot of people who are minnows who vote, and as a whale, it seems like whenever I click on something that has a lot of little upvotes, my power is amplified by a large amount. So I have a harder time not clicking on things that have a lot of other small upvotes, because I want to do it. I'm more incentivized to.
Yeah, and what you see is when you vote and you're voting at 100%, even 50%, you know, obviously their curation rewards in theirs, it's going to go away because it's the way the voting power algorithm set up is the larger the voters that come after those guys, they begin to take more of the actual, share of the reward. So, but we can still knock that down and maybe get, 5 to 10% would help out. But again, minnows aren't there to get, not all the time, the curation rewards off of it. They would love to get it, but they have to keep in mind that all it takes is a couple of big voters, and my 0.01% goes to 0.00, and they have to concentrate on building that account. That way, every time they vote it, it gets larger and larger. But getting back to the voting aspect of it and the trail aspect, it is organically growing each one of these categories by interest that people that they have, whether it be travel, art, photography. Right now, the project, we've got 50. Actually, let me look. We got 17. We got 49 actual active curators covering. We're introducing like 22 of the main categories right now. They're doing introduction posts about their category. So we got 49 members who have joined the project in just a little over a week. And what they're doing, Fuzzy, is they're taking their things they love, health, engineering, food, foraging, gardening, humor. They're taking these things, they're taking ownership of them, and they're growing them organically. Instead of us relying on, the top brass to grow this thing, we have this community that's ours. We can
Are
take
you
this.
military guy?
Yes, I am.
We can get along. All right.
I'm
Thank you for
ex-military.
taking an oath to the Constitution. But anyway, real quick, this is something that you guys are talking about, and T-Bone brings up why so much focus on how much a post earns. That's a big part of the problem. People instead should be focused on gaining followers, right? Now, I agree with that. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, I totally agree, because that causes a lot of the rift we have now is the expectations of, I'm just going to just put it on new users around it. New users that come into the platform have this expectation that, hey, I'm going to make a good bit of money here. And that's most of the time that isn't the case. So we have to put more emphasis on the content that they're going to be providing, and also, like you said, getting the followers going, get more involved in the community. And that's still what this is designed around. It's designed to build, in our case, the travel community. Is people can go there, they can interact, they can get advice on their post, and that community just begins to build itself and add more value, not only in the rewards piece of it, but the content and the engagement of that new member into people with similar interests. And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're talking about the travel tag, and this is this the tag that is being focused on here, or is this something where various people join up and they add their own tag to like a pool, and you pull out the tag out of a hat every day, and everybody's going to be curating that tag, or can you just describe a little bit about why the travel tag, and if the travel tag is just the all-inclusive, that's it?
Yeah, I'm just using the travel as an example
Gotcha.
in this discussion. So, but to give more in depth information about the question is, we have individuals that come into the project. They're like, "Hey, instructor, I want I post a lot in our business category. I want to curate, and they can curate this information on their own, but they want to curate that particular category, and we're going to switch to business now." And we're like, "Oh, great!" So what they'll do is they'll find other members that are already on the platform. They'll invite them, and now we're getting that engagement in that specific category for those people. That now now they can watch for those business tag posts. They can interact with other users who are posting in that. So it's really all about engaging, because what I've seen is we have members on the platform. They want to contribute, they want to help, but we have existing projects. We just don't have enough of these projects going on now, and we have to get engagement up. We get engagement up, that leads to more education to and information to those existing users and new users. And the more we empower them with information, the better they can explain things to help educate the other members we have on the platform, but also members outside of the platform. So there's a lot of different ways that this goes, and it's all back to how do we grow the platform? How do we get it out to others? And how do we maintain the retention of our existing users, keep them, educate them, and grow it, not only internally but externally. So it's just basically empowering people and engaging them. So that's kind of the deep process of it. So go ahead.
I'm just going to sum up.
Go ahead and tell the guy.
I just wanted to sum up from what I've learned from him. So basically, what he's saying is that if anybody remembers like DMOZ, which was the distributed Mozilla search engine database, it was an open data search engine project or whatever, much like Yahoo, where everything was dwelled down into categories, and each category had its own, I guess, curator, if you will, for that section. And so what he's advocating is that they have designated curators that will pay attention to certain tags. So for instance, the travel category might have 6 dolphins and whales that are going to just watch that category. And then a different category, he'll have another 6 dolphins or whales, completely different people. They're going to focus on that category. And what that ensures is that each category every day, as many of these groups that they have, will have enough of these curators, these dolphin and whale curators that specialize in a certain category, to watch that category, to encourage people that, hey, if you're interested in travel, we're not going to neglect travel today because it's not trending. Travel will be watched over every single day. And the benefit there is that that certain categories are always going to have action on curation, and they're always going to be monitored and watched as long as you participate. And also the benefit is that you get full-timers now that are going to focus and specialize on that particular thing, so that they don't have to go swimming around trying to find good content in all categories. They can focus on a specific category. The way it works for the dolphin and the whale, who's putting all their time and effort into curation, is that this is the part that I got a glimpse of. It sounded like they get 10 or 15% of the SBD of that post that post earned or something. I don't know how it works for the dolphin and whale.
You mean as far as I guess SBD 10%? Where did that come from? I mean, I'm not quite sure the context of that question.
Oh, I thought I heard you say it in the channel. So let me ask you a specific question then. So you have 6 whales that are watching, say, not travel, the restaurant category. And so they're every day they're curating this category, and are they just doing it for volunteer, or are they doing it for specific?
Oh, never mind. I see what you're asking now. Yeah, if it doesn't have anything to do with the rewards portion of it. So right now we have projects out there, Robinhood and Curie, right? And we have whales who are wanting to spread things out, right? So we got these 2 big projects. So they're allocating a percentage. They're probably not allocating all 100% of their voting power because they love to spread things out, right? So they're giving a percentage, 1 through 100, of what they're going to allocate towards that project. Okay, so every time it votes for them, and they're actually to contribute their voting power to whatever they, Curie selects or Robinhood selects, right? So each category, let's go to Steemtrail now. So we have travel, business, foraging, food trail. The members, the curators of those trails, I mean, they're taking ownership of this. So it's their responsibility. They want to grow it. So you go and you attract some of these larger, the dolphins or the whales, and instead of just get a big vote from them, if they could just allocate 5 to 10%, that's where we get the percentages from. It's nothing to do with the SBD or anything like that. It's more of the voting power that they possess. And the reason why we get 5 to 10% is, if it's 50 cents or a dollar, it's being added to each vote, that's great. And that 5 to 10% allows us to spread it out to more posts over different categories. So if I'm a whale and I've got a couple million steam power, I've got like 30 categories out there. I can allocate 5% of my voting power to these guys. Now, of course, I want to watch, and I don't want to get too low, but now I can spread that out more, right? And my hats are off to Curie and Robinhood. I'm a member of Robinhood, and it gets tough to try to find go through all the posts, select the best one, because we're only allowed to vote so many times per day. So there's posts up there that get no love. But by doing it this way, we can spread it out to 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 different categories. And each one of those categories can get, 5%, 4%. And that's across all the whales. One whale may select 20 or so or 10 categories. One may select 5. But the point is, we have more individualized projects or more detailed projects in each one of these categories where we can bring in those votes. And of course, those votes will add value and are part of the engagement as well. But that's kind of where we got the 5 to 10%. So it's nothing.
That's probably where he heard you say something about 10% too.
So if I'm a whale and I'm involved in one of these categories and I'm going to focus on that category, what is my reward other than the honor system or just paying it forward and stuff? Is it just something that you're asking people to get involved in if they have a lot of steam power, just to help the community, or is there some way that the whale gets a kickback?
No kickback to the whale. The benefit the whales get from this is longevity of the platform and the value that's being added to the platform, which in turn is more value in their investment and what they have it and protecting it already. So that's something you'd want to do. That's something I would want to do. I would want the platform to grow.
I see where you're coming from, instructor, but I also see where IntelliGuy is coming from, because yes, you and I probably, like for instance, I do something very similar with the Beyond Bitcoin tag. And I tell people who are here, I say, please consider joining up to the Beyond Bitcoin tag and curating the stuff there, and there's a lot of stuff that does get posted under the Beyond Bitcoin tag. In fact, a lot of the time I have to kind of hold off because some of the stuff under that tag, I don't know really fits, for instance, in the Beyond Bitcoin tag.
Right.
But if other whales were doing this, it wouldn't be as much of a problem, right? It's a very interesting thing. But then once again, we're in the wild, wild west in crypto, and IntelliGuy knows as well as anybody here. That I don't know how familiar is Steem the first crypto, or have you been cryptocurrency for a while?
2012. I was BTS, for a while too. So.
Oh, no way.
Yes way. Ethereum guy too. So.
You could tell. Okay, it makes sense why you'd be holding BTS.
Yes, sir.
But real quick, IntelliGuy, does that answer your question?
It does, and I think that they're gonna have to consider rewarding the whales, and it'd be like, why? They're whales. It benefits them. I'm getting feedback on somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's if that particular whale, I'm not going to enable any kind of incentive. I don't think we should have to when we have members on the platform, putting in their time and work, to grow the platform. They're not asking for anything, so I don't think it's really fair. But I'm not going to enable any kind of not on this project. If I do enable any kind of incentive, it's going to be for the people that are actually putting in their time and work to making sure we have great content and actually growing those particular categories. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it.
No. The reason why I'm saying this is I'm playing devil's advocate here, because I'm that type of person that agrees with you. If I was a whale and I had a focus, like for instance, I don't want to go wandering into, say, the photography or the art category, because that's not my style. I'm more technical and specific, right? So if I was a huge whale, I probably would hope that somebody else was taking care of those categories, and I wouldn't even have to feel obligated to go into those categories to go look for good posts.
Correct.
To be a proper whale.
Correct.
So it does make sense, right? The whole system makes sense. But where the problem lies, is that people human behavior is to do something that seems interesting and neat for them for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then they just die off. And if there was a financial incentive, it's as long as they're making good coin from it, that seems to incentivize people longer than a couple of weeks or a couple of months. So to stop this from fizzing out, or to get people where their passion and their interest in this is they're all excited to get going on this, and you know, for the first 2 weeks they're the awesome curator that they've ever been, and then they find themselves like, this is getting boring now. I have interest in other things. That's going to be a problem for keeping the project alive that I foresee.
Okay, so we're talking. We switched over now to the actual curator and their incentives. Is that what this is about?
The whales that are going to be the 6 whales per category that you're looking for and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
He's saying that there might be there might need to be, due to human nature just being the way it is, like most people will not, even if they're whales, will not consistently and over the long term, for, you know, long term being more than, you know, a few months, maybe a year even, I would imagine. But more than that, without having a monetary reward that's extremely visible and right in their face, right?
Yeah, well, you know, here's my thinking on this. You know, yeah, I do see that, because, you know, because there's giving and there's taking in the platform, you know, and some people are both givers and takers, some are one or the other. But as far as the longevity, and, you know, does a particular high Steam Power vote holder, will they stick around and help support a particular category they're interested in? You know, again, that's up for debate. I don't know that. We'll have to see how this plays out. And that's all one thing I can really, you know, say about. We really don't know. I don't know. You know, I would agree that human nature, yeah, people do get bored with stuff. They want to move on to the next, you know, the best, greatest thing. So we'll have to see. I'm not sure, but that's a good question, man.
Well,
good thing.
Instructor, I will say thank you for joining up. How do people follow the Steemtrail project?
Yeah, it's very easy. We actually are. We're still on a Rocket Chat. We recently moved over to a Discord server just because we needed to enable more collaboration with the voice and the chat, and I'm able to do a little bit more things. Yeah. You know, it's a little more robust. But we'll probably come back to Rocket Chat, you know, once we can get these type of features enabled on there. So, but right now, we can direct people to Rocket Chat. Steemit.chat, and we're in the Steemtrail. Just go in there, register, and search for Steemtrail, and it'll bring you right to our channel there. And just come in there, pop in, say, hey guys, I'm interested in Steemtrail. How do I get involved? And we'd love to have you.
Thanks, man. And I want to just say, you know, I didn't want to cut this off, but I have to kind of do so as a moderator. Any of these discussions generally could go longer than the allotted 30 minutes. But what I will say is I would love if you guys would all stick around for the after party, where we can talk about a little bit more depth, kind of what Tuan is here is helping me with, and how I think some of the stuff that we are actually building is going to work along the lines of what all of you guys are talking about here. I actually think you guys are going to go, oh my God, I can't believe that that's what you guys are doing, because it's going to tie all of what you guys are talking about together, including IntelliGuy. You guys will probably have input as far as the responses as well, but there's going to be other questions, concerns, of course, that, you know, have not been brought up here once we bring up these solutions during the after party. But I would urge you to consider sticking behind, because these solutions I'm paying for with what I earn on Steam, and they're going to be open sourced for the entire platform to use. So it's going to be very much like Steemtrail, and it's going to enable you guys it's basically going to enable you guys to have your own websites for different tags. But anyway, we won't get too deep into that, because next up is Steam from Gridcoin. Are you here, Custom Miner, aka
Hey,
CM
can you
Steam?
hear me all right? Yeah.
Perfectly, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, brilliant. I'll just post a few links before I get started so you can kind of keep along with what I'm talking about. Sorry if it comes a bit spammy, you know. There's like 7 or 8 links. Anyway, so the first thing I'd like to talk about is mentioning details of the 12th Gridcoin Community Hangout, and that is tomorrow at 9 p.m. GMT. Everyone's welcome to join. You know, we'll be discussing Gridcoin, Boink, cryptocurrency related topics, you know, distributed computing. So if you're into any of those topics, come along. If you do intend to attend, please post your Gridcoin address, and we are going to be planning on distributing Gridcoin to those who attend in the future, just so that, you know, incentivize more people to attend and, you know, reward your time as well, because it is like, you know, a few hours a week that we spend each. So yeah, I'd appreciate it if, you know, anyone here would attend tomorrow. So moving on to the next topic is mentioning Gridcoin's potential future partnership with Steam Sports. So after last week's last week when I attended, the Crypto Drive got in contact with me, and, you know, came up with this idea of distributing Gridcoin to winners of the Steam Sports, you know, betting posts. I think it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's weekly posts, or well, sorry, weekly distributions for like the top winners or something along those lines. So it's pretty cool. We're going to try a pilot month, I believe. There is a Fred and CryptoCoin talk that I linked there in the chat if anyone's interested in reading like the Crypto Drive's proposal to the Gridcoin community. There is currently a foundation expense for going through the Gridcoin client right now that's being voted upon by the Gridcoin community. It currently looks like it's going through, so it should be you know, some point mid November that we really start seeing our interaction between Gridcoin and Steam Sports. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to that.
Awesome. Custom Miner, remind me please to talk a little bit with you about a tool that I think that we're going to have available that'll make that pretty easy for you guys.
All right, cool. So I've got a few things to go through, so I'll just rattle them all out. So the next thing to say is that the open.grc token, which is just the exchange-backed asset on the OpenLedger exchange for Gridcoin, is now a featured market on the OpenLedger web wallet. So when you log in, it's right there in the homepage, you know, alongside all the main large trading pairs. So that's brilliant. There has been some activity on this on the Gridcoin to Bitcoin and Gridcoin to BitShares, like you know, market pegged. The trading pairs. I mean, there's not a lot of volume, but there seems to be a premium currently on the price of Gridcoin. It probably will even out as more more trading volume goes towards you know, these trading pairs on the BitShares exchange. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And cheers to OpenLedger for featuring us. So yeah, on the topic of the open.grc tokens on the BitShares Smart Coins Android wallet. So currently there isn't the option to create a receiving QR codes, but that's probably something that could be changed in the future quite easily. But the way to do it is to send the open.grc directly to the BitShares account name for your Android client, and it'll show up and you can send it to people. So it's pretty cool. It's an additional Android wallet. Yeah, definitely. So that's Gridcoin supported on both the you know, BitShares Smart Coin Android wallet and also in Coinomi for Android users. So that's pretty good. Hopefully we'll be able to get onto other platforms in the future, but that's still you know, in the making. Right, so yeah, on the next topic is there are 4 new polls in Gridcoin's decentralized voting mechanism. 3 are related to whitelists, to the whitelist. So 2 new projects, VTGU and SR-based. Yeah, SR-based. These are both mathematics-based Boink projects. They're like applying as new Boink projects to be whitelisted and receive rewards so that more computing power goes towards their distributed computing project.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. we are voting to remove Poem at Home, which was a protein folding BOINC project, purely because they have begun retiring the project. They've got everything they needed out of the project, some very useful evidence that they were looking for. So, every once in a while, a project will close down because they have completed their objective, which was the goal in the first place, which is brilliant. But sorry to see them to go,
That's what I love about Gridcoin. Sorry for interrupting, but continue.
Let's go. So yeah, those are the whitelist related polls. There is one community poll that I created. It's like an opinion-based poll, so it's not got any mandate behind it. It's just inquiring to the entire Gridcoin community what their stance is or what their opinion is towards the mandatory Team Gridcoin requirement. So if you don't know, in order to qualify your BOINC computation for receiving Gridcoin, you need to be within the Team Gridcoin team. This is it's created a lot of divisiveness between the BOINC communities. Like you can't post about Gridcoin in other communities because they're like, yeah, you're trying to steal our users or whatever. So I'm for removing it, but it does introduce a significant scaling challenge. Scaling from 2,000 users to up to 560,000 users. That's a real design challenge that we'd have to deal with head on. So yeah, it seems to be kind of split down the middle, and we'll be talking about that a bit more in depth tomorrow in the next Hangout. Awesome. I do have a question regarding BlockPay S. Do you require block trades integration for Gridcoin, or can we use the OpenLedger bridge instead? Does anyone know? Because we were looking through the configuration.
Here. He's the CTO.
That'd be pretty cool if you could kind of just in the chat box kind of let us know. Do we need to approach block trades in order to get full functionality within the BlockPay S software? Nope. Cool. Excellent. Well, the Gridcoin community is totally interested in using BlockPay in the future. We're already on several other BitShares related products. So yeah. All right. So if BlockPay supports everything BlockTrade supports, so if BlockTrade supports OpenLedger, then potentially Gridcoin will be supported. That's pretty cool. Excellent. Cool. Right, so that question out the way, I'd like to mention there is an ongoing discussion regarding Gridcoin potentially utilizing graphene in the future. Like we were talking about previously with the mandatory team requirement poll. If we remove this mandatory requirement, we would potentially have to scale from the current 2,000 rewarded users to our 560,000 active users in BOINC and 4 million registered. So, the current system potentially wouldn't be able to handle that, in terms of block storage, but we could potentially boost the blocks, right? But then there's also the issue of if we've got an extra 10,000 users all downloading the BOINC statistics from the individual BOINC projects, then that's the Gridcoin network will effectively be placing strain upon the BOINC projects. We'll use up more of their resources effectively as somewhat of a accidental DDoS. So moving towards delegates for the providing these statistics would be the next optimal step if we were to really scale to the entire BOINC community. So if anyone likes that idea, or if they want to read about that discussion, I linked that discussion in the chat box. It's also on the Bitcoin Talk forum within the project's discussion kind of sub forum. So I believe X0C and PC have both been discussing it with myself. So it's pretty cool. I've just posted my latest stance regarding it.
What is this link that you provided us with the active polls? How do you get to these polls?
All right. So in order to vote, you can do it via the Windows GUI, right? But for Linux users, you need to write in commands. It's purely just there's a lack of functionality for Linux users with this regard that's been worked on by a contractor, so that might change in the future. But if you dial it down, if you go into the Reddit post and then click on one of the individual direct links to the Steam post, it's also in the RSVP thread, yeah. I've added like individual links to the Steem posts where we announce these polls. You can get the exact commands to input for your option if you want to vote. There are a couple websites where you can view the outcome of polls. These are gridresearchcorp.com and gridcoinstats.eu. I believe the second is currently still in development. So it's like a work in progress, but it's like a decentralized voting mechanism that takes into account both your the Gridcoin you hold in your balance and also your magnitude, which is like your verified BOINC computation across multiple projects.
That's awesome. So you do have your vote weighted by your holdings.
Yeah, if you hold Gridcoin, then you can vote as an investor, and if you are contributing to BOINC, that's what we base our rewards off of, and that number we base the rewards off of, we also use as like a partial vote weight type,
Makes
so it's
sense.
not just investors, it's BOINC crunchers that have a say in pretty much everything we do. So
right now, actually, you have 4 posts that if somebody goes on to Reddit, the link that is provided in Mumble, and we can provide that actually in the Hangout post as well. If you go to this link, there are 3 comments, and one of those comments has the link to every one of those polls, correct?
Yeah, it's also, I just posted a link to my RSVP. I modified it as everyone else is talking, to be more accurate.
Sure.
So you can go directly to the Steem RSVP thread and not have to go to Reddit, if you want to check out the specific polls. There's also like
Awesome.
discussion on each one and each of the Steem threads, which is pretty cool.
Now, out of curiosity, this is a little bit, well, before I go into this, does anybody have any questions or comments that you would like to bring up? Because this is something that I've always seen Gridcoin as doing something very much DAC-like, decentralized autonomous corporations, like something that's offering a service to either the scientific community or to people in industry who need certain things accomplished, and using computational power to direct it into and focus it into finding solutions for problems that humanity has, is what you guys are doing, right? So what are some of the coolest projects that you have seen or have seen people potentially talking about that just haven't maybe made it to bubbled up?
Well, in the past we've had brainstorming threads on Steem where we're like, all right, what could you do with BOINC? It's like, what is the compute? What would you replace like the computation in a BOINC project with if you just had to, if you could? So I think one of the coolest ones that we came up with was the 2 really cool ones was the first idea is distributing Apache Spark over BOINC, and there's a white paper on this and also a poster created by a couple university students. Yeah, and it's called BARC, BOINC over Apache Spark or whatever. So you can distribute Apache Spark jobs to computers, to smartphones, and everything. It's a really cool idea. There's also, if you can pick a bit of software that has distributed computing functionality built in, then you can easily distribute it through BOINC. If you use the BOINC server the BOINC Docker server repo, then you can fire up a BOINC project with an hour and then work on distributing something you want computed. So you could also do like Google's TensorFlow for machine intelligence or artificial intelligence. The thing to keep in mind is it's not decentralized, it's distributed. So there's a centralized server for the BOINC server, and then the work is distributed out. If it was possible to decentralize a BOINC project, that'd be insane. Like you could think of like a BOINC project that was like maybe slightly controversial, like password recovery or something like that, and host it and not have to worry about being responsible for it, because as a BOINC server, project admin, you are taking on risk and responsibilities, by creating it. in terms of like favorite projects, there are like some big names out there, like World Community Grid, Crunches. You know, they attempt to solve cancer, Ebola, malaria. You know, you name it, Zika. There's SETI at Home. They attempt to look for extraterrestrial life or communications in space. There's also Milky Way at Home. They map the Milky Way, and they just got $400,000 in funding for their BOINC project, which is really cool. It's going to breathe some life back into their project. So there's really, it's up to your imagination what you could create a BOINC project. I said this in a previous Gridcoin Hangout. There's like the ability to create, like, imagine creating a cloud computing service, but you've got none of the computer resources to back up, like apart from just the computer to host the BOINC server on. Like, people will come to you with available compute resources, and you can distribute work and potentially charge for that functionality and create like an economy within your BOINC project. And then tie in the Project Rain functionality, which is like 36 supported cryptocurrencies. Then there's just, you know, an unfathomable amount of possibilities for a BOINC project if you want to make one.
So would it be possible to distribute other tokens to various projects?
Yeah,
like
totally.
As an added token?
Yeah, 2 seconds. I just got to quickly answer Joe. Back in 2 seconds.
Good, Ken. Good.
All right, back. Yeah, in terms of distributing tokens to BOINC projects, with Project Rain, the idea is you link your CPID, which is your BOINC identification, which is identical across all BOINC projects you contribute to with the same account. Anyways, you link that to multiple cryptocurrency platforms like your address, and then anyone could take the cryptocurrency address and your CPID, then match it up to BOINC work you've done across like 10 different projects, or even, you know, your own project you've created, and you could distribute a token to them. Better yet, if you were a BOINC project admin, you could take the Project Rain code, because it's fully open source MIT license, you know, and build it into your BOINC project. And then the difficulty lies in how are you going to distribute your token? Is it going to be like a continuous distribution? Because if so, then you're going to have to maybe issue the entire sum of coins and then slowly dish them out, or whether or not you can make like maybe a smart contract that would issue new tokens over time, you know, so that you didn't hold all of the tokens over your users, which could be, you know, a risk that they identify. In terms of projects that are doing this, there is one project that is being created. It's called Drug Discovery at Home. They are a UK-based company. They're in like the medical sector, trying to figure out new drugs. Anyways, they are planning their own Ethereum token that they will distribute to their users for their BOINC computation. So that's the first example, which is brilliant.
That's really cool. This is what happens when you enable tipping and sharing of tokens.
Yeah, totally. Especially to like a large number of users. You know, some of these BOINC projects, like there was one project that came out and it didn't really have a large purpose behind it other than just goofing about. And like they got like 20,000 users within the first couple of weeks. You know, that's pretty huge. And then if you were to distribute a token to that many users, that's a pretty fair distribution.
Yeah, I like it, man. I really like it. It's the idea of being able to reward. If I were a Gridcoin user and I was using BOINC and I was crunching numbers for various things, or, you know, pointing my computational resources toward a certain directive of various projects, right? And I earn various extra tokens in addition because of that. In addition to Gridcoin, you know, like this project gives me one of its token for every Gridcoin I earn while using BOINC, or something to that effect. Now you have it become a sticky kind of token, right? Where all these other tokens are also rewarded, and those could all actually trade on the BitShares exchange, just to let you know. But that's something that could be done, and it could actually, you know, the way that the markets work on BitShares, it could all be traded for Gridcoin.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ultimately, any token that you're getting for your BOINC computation is helping offset the electricity bill you're accumulating for doing this work. Because, you know, if you've got a few PCs, that will add up, and it could, you know, spiral away if you're not careful. Like, especially it's like coming out of your own money. You know, what would be brilliant would be if, as you're saying, like you're doing BOINC computation for one project, but you're not just getting rewarded by Gridcoin, you're getting rewarded by, like, I don't know, 10 other different systems which base their distribution on completed BOINC work. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Has anyone got any questions about BOINC or potential BOINC projects that you think would be cool, or Gridcoin or Project Rain and stuff?
I got nothing at the moment.
I like to leave the silence uncomfortable for a little bit until somebody has to speak up. So since the person who did feel ready to speak up doesn't have anything to say, I will go ahead and I'll say we're at an hour and 30 minutes. So you're around right on time for the 30-minute period of time. But I will say that at some point in time, we need to talk about a little bit more, maybe behind the scenes or at the next hangout, about how we can work together on some things with this Gridcoin idea. I think it would be cool, and I think that it's even possible for, like I brought up to you guys before, for Gridcoin to have their own front end, you know, DEX based on trading BOINC projects for Gridcoin. That would be something that could be done using the open source code that BitShares has. I just don't know how, you know, who would do it. I suspect we could find somebody, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. I mean, we've discussed this in the last two Gridcoin community hangouts, you know, replacement front ends for the BitShares web wallet or the BitShares Lite client, and also, like, you know, a replacement front end for Steem, you know, that would promote our own content. I think it would be cool to work together within the Beyond Bitcoin community to promote our platforms like Gridcoin and Beyond Bitcoin, and hopefully a couple other platform, you know, communities start holding their own hangouts. Like, I thought PeerPlays was really going to, you know, tag along, but they've done a couple, but they've not really, you know, kept it up. That'd be really cool if we can encourage them and others to do the same.
Well, actually, this is kind of around, like, please stick around for the after party, because that's something that I have specifically set up that I want to talk about. So the aspect of the sharing of the tokens, the website with the Steem backend, and the potential to plug in other blockchains in the future for various front-end websites, for things like Gridcoin and other websites. We can create essentially like networks who create their own content and add various tags, but then those curated tags are reflected on front-end websites and that people can upvote and create trending content within those. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to get into that I think that we can talk about, and I actually would love some help with some of it because it'll just make it faster if people want to help, you know, pile on their resources and their thoughts and everything. But I think that we have some stuff that we really need to be talking about now that some of this stuff is coming to fruition. And Tuan is here today, and he's one of the developers who's working on the front end. So I would love if we would utilize some of this time during the after party, specifically to kind of give him some ideas of what we would like to see, if you guys have any ideas. But thank you very much, Custom Miner. Obviously, you guys always are holding your hangouts. You're exemplifying what I keep telling people this network should be doing. And that's, you know, as we build these tools, it's just going to grow exponentially. So thank you for showing people. It's amazing to watch people who know what the heck they're doing and how to synergize. And there are a few people who are coming on here every week, and I'm loving it because this is that's the way to do it, and doing your own Hangouts and plugging them here. It's perfect. But thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Okay, so right now we're looking at $1.31 for virtual growth. Is virtual growth's representative Psychochica here?
Yep, I'm here.
I don't know if I keep saying that right or wrong. Is it Psychochica or Psychochica?
No, you had it right. It's Psycho.
Perfect.
The ironic misnomer.
I love hearing that I'm right. Keep it coming.
Looks like virtual growth is back too. You're welcome to go
perfect.
if you want virtual. I can take a back seat if you want. I'm fine either way though. I see your lips moving, but I don't hear the words.
Well, while we're waiting for that to get set up, I just want to say, it says here that the relevant Steemit tag is Steemprentice and Steemland. And today is going to be virtual growth in Psychochica. And you guys are going to be talking about the Steemprentice Mentoring Initiative and Steemland, which is a virtual land in the virtual world of YGrid to offer Steem for visiting blogs, resources, tools, and users. Also a Steemit Poker event, I'm assuming. Possibility of virtual Steamfest idea as well, which is, I think, a great idea. And I would love to hear a little bit more about the idea of a barrier to entry free means of attending Steamfest in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I'll kind of start on the last one with the virtual Steamfest.
Please do.
Let me see here. So I'm not sure if we've got the capability of like actually getting a live feed. I mean, we might be able to get a live feed in there, but I don't know about like a two-way interaction with other things to do on the Steamfest side than sit at a computer. But if nothing else, be able to just kind of make it more of a social event while Steamfest is going on, can come in here and kind of show what's going on, some of the updates, and just something, a little beyond, just being on the Steemit site itself. We are starting to get various ads and basically like blog posts in there. Right now there's a couple of art pieces that are showing, so it lets people kind of show off their work in a little bit different way. Let me put this link in here. That one, you can kind of see some of the screenshots inside YRGrid. There is still the game tables in there, so there's 2 poker tables that run, a few other little gambling machines that all run on Bitcoin. You can see in the screenshot here on that post a bunch of the kind of billboards there in the background. When you go up to the billboards, you see them, but then you can click on them to actually open the page. And that's kind of where the getting free Steem side comes in. We've all heard of faucets and things like that, and I obviously don't have an issue, but it seemed like it'd be a great use, especially on the newbie end, of come in here to YRGrid, here's a bunch of tutorials, guides, beginner stuff that people need to at least know where it is, even if they don't read it right now. So basically they come in, can click on those things, good newbie-oriented things, get some free Steem, which is always, a nice benefit, even if not Steem, some, sort of crypto faucet. And it just kind of starts that rabbit trail of questions for people. I mean, it's a lot easier to say, how do I get my money out than what's this whole crypto thing sort of question. It's a lot more directed at that point.
Let's see. Just real quick, how does the mechanism of getting this money from the faucet from the faucet work?
Some of the specifics I have to let virtual growth kind of talk on, because it kind of depends on what exactly is set up and will be set up. Right now, sure. I think it's along the lines of Bitcoin and things like that, since that's kind of what the WireGrid is built on already. Ideally, it'd be nice to get a steam faucet as well. But again, I don't want to put words in Virtual Growth's mouth on that one. But again, the main, if nothing else, it'll be, kind of like a small Bitcoin faucet or some altcoin, depending on what's available, be able to toss it into a wallet. And I mean, everyone's got to get a wallet set up anyway at some point.
Yeah.
It's more just a motivator to get people kind of going through some of those earlier steps, because again, our focus is more on non-crypto people getting pulled in here. I never was exposed to any of this, outside of hearing of Bitcoin years ago before I came to Steem it. And that's kind of where a lot of our Steemprentice kind of focus and marketing sort of tools have been oriented towards, is those non-crypto people. So let's make it easy, make it less scary, give them little incentives to kind of want to learn the huge area that's behind all of this.
Yeah, you're not kidding, man. There's a lot that can go into it. I was wondering myself how something like Steem might be able to be integrated into YGrid. Have you guys considered the potential of reaching out to them and seeing if it would be even possible? Because I would imagine that if they said yes, they could get a lot of money on Steem.
It's one I'd have to let Virtual Growth really talk on. I don't want to give misinformation. I'd rather say I don't know on that side. But I know we've definitely talked about trying to get a Steem faucet or something Steem-wise set up in there. From what it had sounded like, it's something that's possible, but I just don't know the exact state of it just yet.
Yeah, like if it would require help from them, or if you could, have another tool maybe that's used for it. It's a good question. You're right, though. It is possible.
Kind of the short-term workaround is Virtual Growth has an ATM that look like it's set up. I haven't hooked my own accounts in yet to test it out, but it would basically kind of give you that in-between sort of function from the Bitcoin to your Steem wallet, essentially.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, Virtual Growth, missing a setting somewhere, go up to configure and then just go through the audio wizard, and then you don't have to worry about anything. It'll take about 3 minutes.
Now, some of the other things that I had to get some other things off my plate before I could really focus on this, but wanting to both use YGrid and the Steemprentice room here in Beyond Bitcoin. Again, we talked about kind of like the social event to go along with Steemfest, even if we don't have a live feed coming in. Just to kind of, one, be able to give those visual presentation tools to go along with the audio, where it's just a nice pairing with Mumble at that point. So we've talked about doing like newbie sessions, like the webinar kind of thing. The next upcoming thing I've got is kind of a general AMA, as far as first just a couple of mentors where people can just kind of pick their brain, or newbie sessions, just again, very Hangout-like, but let people ask whatever sort of questions they have. And I'm not sure how much the re-recording or replaying will happen there, but it's something that I think is worth a try, and then kind of move it into a little bit more just general user feature sort of stuff. Like, I'd love to be able to pick the brain of like some financial oriented people and just be able to ask questions like, how do you feel about diversifying funds into crypto for the short or long term, or stuff along those lines.
Well, those are great conversation topics, I think, to reach out to people and actually bring them on for these types of hangouts or even interviews. It would be especially interesting for meetups, though, because it's a great place for them to learn and ask questions and kind of have a reciprocal engagement, as opposed to like a one-way question and answer, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's all kind of that, just getting people comfortable. I mean, we've all kind of had those times or places where we don't ask something just because it feels like it's more public. Where something like this, it can just be very, chill, impromptu. There's no thought behind, having to present your post and frame, proofread and edit. It's just shoot it out there and whatever comes off the top of your head. And Probably start something along the lines, kind of like when I first came on here, some of the kind of marketing oriented questions, or looks at trends or curating. And then there's a bunch of other people in the group that have their own specialties that I'm sure people would love to pick their brains on. Along those same lines, I don't want to miss this one in here. One thing Virtual Growth has been kind of bringing back, get my notes up, is it's basically you upvote his post and it stakes him for a poker tournament. He had done this a couple of months ago and it kind of slowed down, but let me get this in here. So basically, when you upvote his stake him for poker posts, the payouts go towards the buy-in for the tournament. If he loses, then there's no money to redistribute. But if he does win, then he gets to take those winnings and divvy them back to the people that did stake that tournament for him. So it's kind of a tweak on kind of what we've seen as far as the sports betting and things like that. But we're just basically footing the bill for the buy. And I'm itching to get back to poker tournaments myself. Now that I finally got some Bitcoin.
I would like to say that you guys do have this Steemprentice room in here. If you guys are wanting to use it for the Steam Fest, and I didn't want to forget to tell you this, if you guys wanted to, I would put up some BTS for people who are attending Steam Fest to join up on Mumble, and anybody who wants to stream it for us. I would gladly put some funds in. It would be in BitShares because I really want Steemians to have a taste of the history that of the chain that brought Steam to the world, right? But if you guys are interested, or if you know anybody from Steemprentice who's interested, let them know, because that's a way for them to maybe even get some funding while they're there and leverage the fact that they are there and they paid the money to travel there and stuff to be able to earn a little bit in BTS.
I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I'd heard of BitShares myself and a little of the history, but yeah, I definitely don't know a whole lot about it.
Well, this isn't for BTS, but I will just say this. It is a blockchain that has separations of power, and the distribution of its tokens being so widespread and not in the hands of, the people who have been core community has been the hardest aspect of it, because so few tokens could be used to vote. So it's an amazing chain. It just needs more people who understand. So if people are concerned about Steem only having 21 witnesses, for instance, BitShares has 101. It's intentionally designed to be far more decentralized. And it's a really kind of the yin to Steem's yang in my mind. So I think you would love it.
I definitely need to do a little digging. I've finally started kind of looking at some of the other cryptos that are out there. But I don't...
One clarification on the number of witnesses in BitShares is that it's not 101 anymore, Fuzzy. That was BitShares 1. Really? It's however many the committee decides it's going to be.
Yes, you're right. But the current setting is still 101, right?
Well, I wasn't aware of that. If that's the case, we've fallen far short of having 101 witnesses on BitShares since Graphene was introduced. So I really don't think there is a limit at all, other than what the committee has set.
It's not set by the committee. It's actually set by what the voters decide on who to vote in.
So there's no limit, though, correct?
No, there's no limit, hypothetically.
Yeah. All right, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify the limit issue primarily.
Oh. Well, PC's saying something different. So these might be some changes. Man, it would be nice if you would speak up and RSVP for this, PC, and give us some good updates on this. You're saying there's a built-in max of 1,000 of them?
put an approximate symbol in front of it, but this is quite interesting that this should be coming up now, because there obviously is some disinformation or lack of understanding about limitations and who's voting for the witnesses and all that kind of stuff. I know that the general shareholders of BidShares vote on witnesses, but I was under the impression that the committee determined what the maximum number of them were, but that's apparently not the case.
I thought so too.
According to PC, that's not the case.
Okay.
No, what happens is that when voters cast their vote for witnesses, it's based on how much support they get. So if one person with a lot of stake is only voting for, say, 5 witnesses, what will happen is that everybody else who doesn't have as much stake, that will take a percentage off of the total amount of witnesses, and then it would actually reduce the numbers of actual active witnesses. But if more people vote for more witnesses because they see it fit to ensure decentralization or also to keep the network secure, then it would make sense. So it can scale either back, it can go forward or backwards in terms of scaling.
So even, okay, I was not aware that actually had it been implemented, because I remember Bytemaster saying that was possible. And it was meant to adjust with the scaling market cap and required decentralization and efficiency, kind of the middle ground for the chain, and it was expected that it would float as the requirements of the network changed, but I did not know that it had been implemented. Thank you. Man, I'm so glad that we have so many people who are core BitShares people here. Thank you for providing that update data. But sorry, Psycho Chica, this became you said that it was important for the history, right?
It's all good. I'm definitely interested. I'm still learning in a lot of that area of stuff, so definitely no worry.
Well, apparently I'm still learning on some of this stuff too, because things change so fast.
The last few things I did want to at least touch on are kind of more on the Steemprentice side. We have been getting a bunch of new members. I think last I looked, we're around like 250 in channel, and we just started like 4 or 5 weeks ago. We've also been, I was told that we're going to be getting basically our channel link or group link put on the Steem at Welcoming page. So when people actually first come on, they'll see how to find us, which has been one of our biggest issues, is just kind of that, large exposure, because it's hard to do the brute force method of let's go and find the new or frustrated people. There's only so much time in the day. And I was also told that we're going to be getting some people sent our way from Steemtrail, which is also very nice. We've historically tried to work with the other curation groups, because you're always going to get people that ask, well, why am I not getting voted on? Well, you have to work on this, and most of the time it's formatting, honestly.
Yeah.
But again, just being able to get them directed our way is very nice. So we're kind of making sure we're prepared for that. We've got, I think I'm almost into the double digits as far as free templates that are out there. We've got a couple of nonfiction, some photography, poetry, music, recipe. I made one that was for intro posts for newbie members, so they can.
Yes, I've been waiting for somebody to say that.
Let me get you the post on that one. I've also been working on that anarchist ambassador toolkit. I almost said anarchist cookbook.
It was weird. That's what I thought you were going to say.
That's from my childhood.
You have to admit, an anarchist cookbook on Steem would probably get some coverage.
Probably. I don't know if it's the coverage I want myself, but that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So
even with good formatting, right?
Oh God, yeah. Even with good formatting. Let's see. Putting a few links in here.
Yeah, there we go.
So that first one is the one with the newbie introduction template in there. It's purposely left simple so they can get a basic idea of how things are working with markup. Right now, they don't copy paste into steampower.org editor, which is the other option that I put out for a lot of people. It's mainly just the center tags don't copy over into there right now. So unfortunately, it's either or right now, but I know Charlie Shrem has said that that's in the works as far as getting that center tag, and then it'll just be copy paste in there too, which will be nice. I put in the second link in there with some of the first round of templates we put out. And then get my last one. I even tried translating a couple of these over to Golos. I hopped on there the other day. Again, just same idea, trying to help them out. I need to work with someone over there to get them translated well, because I was told that they going through the Google Translator didn't really help or function as needed. But I'm working with them to at least be able to provide some Golos templates for them too. And then this last link is the latest here.
Have you found people who've been interested in carrying over the Steemprentice type of idea to Golos?
I've been talking with a few people. I've had limited time this week. It's so much easier over there once I found the language setting next to the wallet or purse button. But I'm working with a few people over there.
What do you mean the language setting? Are you telling me that it automatically translates? Please tell me that it automatically translates content.
It'll automatically translate the buttons and like the framework of the front end. But you still need the Google Translator service or browser service to actually translate the content. But at least I know what the buttons say.
that's yeah, gotcha. That's imperative.
I'm still getting used to it over there, but I'm definitely hoping to. I'm kind of starting with the templates just so I can find what works and what doesn't on the translator side, because I don't want to put a bunch of work in just to find out that it's not working. So I'm kind of doing some small test stuff right now and hoping to find some people over there to kind of just pair up with, because I can't really police both sides of things as far as a help group. But that's my hope, is to get something set up over there just so they have it ready, where we had to kind of go through the growing pains ourselves on this side.
Sure.
Now, the other little thing that I've been working on, it somewhat ties in with Steemprentice in that I've been working on that ambassador toolkit. Again, the concept is trying to, one, empower current non-crypto users to understand kind of crypto and blockchain a little bit easier, so they can actually go and explain it comfortably to others. It doesn't have to be in depth, but just the basics. So this last link was kind of a write-up for them of how to be able to view it and then go and talk about it and give something, a reference in non-crypto terms if they want. So I've been kind of incorporating this sort of message into a lot of the Ambassador Toolkit stuff, so people have it available. I put out some slides as well. It's about 15 PowerPoint slides that I've still got to go through and do the last little proofing on. But I did get those posted up a week or so ago. I've been busy. These are the things I've been needing to get off my plate so I can get to some of the other stuff. Let's see. I think that's the bulk of my latest, and I think I got the Steemland. There is a Steemland.com account, by the way, so it's easy to follow before I forget that.
Well,
have you had feedback? Have you had feedback, Psycho Chica, on this question that's posted on that last link you put up there about where does the money come from? Have you got feedback about how you've explained that?
So far, all the feedback's been positive. I'm definitely up for any sort of thoughts or suggestions, because I'm not trying to claim to be the authority. I just want it to be a good, easy to understand message for non-crypto, non-tech people. I want it to be
obviously it needs to be easy for them to understand, but it obviously also has to be accurate. And that's what I'm because I don't know the detailed answer to this question myself, so I'm very keen because I've been asked this question before. So anyway, I've got another call coming. I'm going to have to drop off here. Hold on a second.
Okay. So, I mean, I've asked for suggestions and kind of people that are in the long-term know how they think of it as far as, the accuracy of this. And I remember I had a couple of people that mentioned things, so I did update the post itself to reflect a couple of small little things. But I really think accuracy-wise, it's pretty close. I mean, the easiest way for me to explain where does the money come from on the easier level is that every day there's the percentage of the market cap that's created as a reward pool, and it's divvied out. So rather than it being a zero-sum game of I'm tipping $1 from my pocket into yours, you're not actually removing anything from your pocket directly. Yes, there's a inflation side of things with the new currency being created, but it's a little bit different. But I usually just try not to get too in depth, but keep it along those lines of essentially there's new Steem created each day, and the votes decide who gets what from that daily pool.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it, and I like to say that it's stock in a company essentially, so that way people know that. Like I tell them it's backed by a service, which is a social network. And if that social network becomes very valuable to people, then it can pay out more. And the cryptocurrency that you received is worth a lot more, So I think stock has been like one of the easiest ways for me to kind of to add that in there, because even most general, like everyday average Joe and Jane people at least understand the basic concept of a stock,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But your ambassador's toolkit, man, that's a great idea. It's a great idea. This is the type of stuff that we need to keep working on. Do you have other people working on this with you or need help with it?
I've had a couple other people that have offered. I had originally my idea on this was to attack it of let's make a full-on checklist of everything that I need, but I kind of needed to switch it a little bit in getting some core message stuff out like this to then be able to incorporate with everything. So I intend to get those other couple of people on board here in the next week, so I can start taking things like this message and let's make a PDF, let's make, little cards, just kind of the little things of, I didn't want to start creating other pieces of media without having the message in place. So it's coming. I've got the people, and Smooth had offered to use part of his witness promotion budget should things like this come up. And Lovejoy had talked to me last week. They're working on like a 30 to 60 second kind of video that kind of gives a brief overview, again, along these same lines of non-crypto, non-tech marketing. And I am very excited to see where that goes. The little bit down the line thing that I'm hoping to do is kind of a 3 to 5 minute informational, similar to what we've seen on the Steem.io site, kind of from the original. It's fine, but when you're trying to reach the non-crypto, non-techie crowd, I think it misses the mark, and that's where I'd like to try and see what we could do better in that aspect. But that'll be it. I really
appreciate everything that you guys are doing. If anybody who wants to, or anybody who's listening to this, wants to promote or help you guys in any way, shape, or form, how would they contact you and how would they support you?
Right now, contacting me, I'm usually in Steemprentice channel, or you can ping me in there or just direct message me directly. I have no issues. You might scare me with a loud ding when the room opens, but that's about it.
Is that on Steemit.chat?
Yeah, that's on Steemit.chat. I'm also on all the other, like I'm periodically bouncing in here into this Mumble. I'm on the new SteamSpeak Discord. I've also got the Steemit Talk podcast Discord, where we've actually been kind of housing the gamer night stuff lately. At least the impromptu ones, just because we're there. That's actually the last thing I wanted to mention before I run out of time is I've started doing the Steemit Video Gamer Night. So each Friday night, which we might change the daytime next week, we've been just playing some video game where Steemit people get together and just go and play. And we have streams set up. I've included instructions how to set up your own stream and embed it in your posts so you can get, a little bit of money from it. And tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, we will be playing Paladins. It's kind of like Overwatch, but it's completely free. Free to play, free to download, not pay to win, team-based shooter.
Tonight, what time and what time zone?
7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. Thank you.
This is my announcement from a couple days ago. I try and put out one a week, like midweek, just kind of saying when it'll be. I don't want to get spammy on that stuff. But let me see. I'm trying to find one with instructions. I've put out a few of these. But we switch up games each week. We did League of Legends last weekend. Paladins this week. There's been talk of Path of Exile somewhere next month. It's really just more for community building. It's nice to kind of step away from all of the posts and all of the upvotes and all of the everything else to let's just go pwn some noobs or stream to the world how bad we are at this game.
Yeah. So you guys actually do stream while
yeah.
playing?
Yeah, I definitely stream every weekend for these, and everyone else is welcome to as well. Like the other night, there's been 4 or 5 of us sometimes in a full groups that all of us are streaming through the posts on here, and it's really just a matter of what people want to do. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to set up a stream to play. It's just meant to be fun. But it's a nice way to be able to incorporate it. It's again, just like you're saying, it's a way for people to be able to take stuff that's available and monetize it themselves. Because I'm not trying to be greedy about this, but at the same time, I don't want to be worrying about divvying out payouts for my stuff. I've got too much going on.
Sure.
So this was just a good way to kind of get around it. I'm trying to find the original here with all the instructions. There we go. There. Okay. So this last link here has step-by-step instructions of how to get set up using open broadcast software and streaming through YouTube. The main reason that we're doing YouTube is right now it's the only one that will let you live embed into a Steemit post. Twitch, last I looked, wasn't supported. But I'm very excited to see where Cly goes with his Steemit streaming that I know is in early alpha stages right now. Let me see if I can find that. I'll have to track that down, but that's okay. But I don't know. That I've kind of babbled a lot. Questions, concerns on anything?
A lot about multiple things that you're working on, and given multiple good posts and links here. So I do appreciate you joining up with us, and I would like to just let you guys all know that I have to play the moderator at this point in time because we are running a little bit behind. But thank you very much, Psycho Chica, for everything that you do for the community. The Steam community and the SteamSpeak community should be very thankful for all of your work. And thank you for the Steam Apprentice for helping out with that. And Virtual Growth, I know that you're here. Thank you, obviously, for all of your help with all of these things and why our grid and more. I just want to let you guys know that this is very important to have people like this get support. So if you see people working on these cool different projects, try to support them. And with that said, we are coming up next on IntelliGuy at $1.10. IntelliGuy, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
You said that you wanted to talk about something called Zigbee and the smart meters. And I figured this would be a good time for me to hand off the talking stick to you and step down from the podium and let you bring it up.
Thanks. Basically, it's more of an introduction than anything, because this is one heck of a rabbit hole that never ends. Anyways, it just got spawned from our last talk show last week, where the after party we were talking about various things, and then next thing you know, we ended up talking about this for a period of time. So I did some more research. Now, if anybody's not, sorry about that. In February 2011, Texas experienced some rolling blackouts due to 50 power plants that were tripping offline. California went through its own energy crisis in 2000 and 2001 when they had a shortage of electricity as well. And so a lot of the times they would do these things called rolling blackouts, and that's under the analog system, that's the easiest way to do it, is you just block out portions of the city to meet the demand. Since that time, they've gotten better at handling things like that, but they figured, you know what, why don't we come up with some smart meters for the energy crisis? And what we can do is we can turn off the air conditioners on the left side of the city for 15 seconds, while the right side of the city has their air conditioners on for 15 seconds. And if we can do that through a mesh network with smart meters and smart appliances, we don't have to ask for the homeowner to be able to turn his air conditioning off. We can just do it right from the panel. And some companies are actually using smart meter technology to resell the existing infrastructure of the electricity to other states, and even crossing borders from Canada and the USA as well. So when they're doing this, you don't know it, but for 15 seconds, all of a sudden some of your appliances aren't clicking on that you wouldn't normally notice, and then all of a sudden your power is going to the state next door, and unbeknownst to you. So where this comes into a big problem is a lot of people don't know that they run software, and they're microprocessor based. It's using same technology as Wi-Fi, basically. It's a little more encrypted on a different channel and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to talk too much about the protocol itself on like that layer, but what I do want to talk about is how this works with blockchains and Bitcoin. So there's some things that are going on. Zigbee specification came in 2007. Here's some keywords that are written in the specification paper, which was released 2008. Things like block ciphers, keys, and I never know how to say this word, nonce or noance, cybertext, plain text, cryptographic hash functions. So, you know, it's sort of the same similar technology. It's a distributed network. It's all cryptographically signed, and it has different things like that, very similar to what the Bitcoin network is. And the transactions that they're encrypting on the network is almost like blockchain technology, maybe a different style. So can blockchains be used to run the power grid? Absolutely, right? And that's probably what you're going to see. Now, hold on. It gets a little strange at this point, and this is what's going to be interesting. Hold on.
It is an interesting thing to bring up, though. I see why you're saying we should be talking.
So they have different promoters in the Zigbee Alliance. Promoters offer automatic voting rights in all work groups. They get final approval rights on all standards and take a seat on the Alliance Board of Directors. So every time Zigbee comes out with a new standard, there's certain key companies that are involved in it. One of them is Comcast. Another one is Kroger, the grocery store chain. And I thought that was kind of strange. What does grocery stores have to do with the power company? Philips, Texas Instruments, 3Com, manufacturer that overtook in 2012, and in 2010, apparently 80% of the world's top 50 telecom companies worked this company. So then it goes on to participant members who also carry voting rights, and that includes AT&T, Belkin, BlackBerry, Carrier Air Conditioners, Emerson, Cisco, General Electric, Lowe's, Panasonic, Samsung, Sony. All of these people are participating in Zigbee. And then there was one on here, the Hershey Company. And I'm like, what does the Hershey Company have to do with your electrical grid? What I found. Apparently, there's a retail arm of Zigbee that is going to start making its way into the grocery stores, like smart shelves and smart carts, where basically you have RFID that RFID will communicate with these things. Now, they're finding their way with consumer goods in your home that are going to be smart appliances. So, for instance, your next air conditioner will be able to electrical meter. Your next television will do that. They have all kinds of new consumer goods that are going to talk with your smart meter, and they're going to report back through the mesh network to these other companies to let them know, to get their upgrades, I guess, to find out what your habits are and stuff like that. One of the specifications, hold on, I'm just going to pull this up. Bear with me for 1 second.
Sure.
This is how they describe themselves. The Zigbee Alliance has developed a very low-cost, low-power consumption, two-way wireless communication standard. Solutions adopting the Zigbee standard will be embedded, and here's the key, the Zigbee standard will be embedded in consumer electronics, home and building automation, industrial controls, PC peripherals, medical sensor applications, toys, and games. So this includes your Xbox, your PlayStation, or even that little teddy bear that sits there and talks to your 2-year-old child.
Yeah. Yes, like Solomon Sollerson says, is saying, the internet.
Your microphone is turned down to muffle now, Fuzzy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now that's good.
Like Solomon is saying, the Internet of Things. It's interesting, though, how the smart meter technology is going to essentially be stored. If you're saying it's going to be stored on a blockchain in some way, shape, or form, I see that as a very real possibility.
Well, it goes a little further. What they've done is that I started doing fancy keyword Google searches. I'm like, okay, let's go for Hershey Company, who makes chocolates, and Zigbee. And I found where Hershey Company and Zigbee were at the same convention. Zigbee was talking about delivering the next generation shopping experience, which they call Shop and Go. That's it, I think it is. I got so many notes on my screen, I apologize. And Hershey Company was talking about optimizing pay points, leveraging emerging retail technologies and consumer trends to drive maximum productivity at all pay points. So this has to do with the way that you're going to shop. They foresee it that when you go into a store, you're going to take a smart cart and you're going to zap your phone in the cart and to identify who you are. Then you can proceed around the store, and as you take items off the shelf, you scan them with your phone and put them in your cart. When you're finished, when you leave, the RFIDs will check you out at the door, and your bank account will automatically get debited for your grocery bill. You will not see a cashier, and you will not see a bagger.
Yeah, it's funny that this is coming up right now, because I remember when I was teaching people about blockchain technology, when I was in school finishing my degree, we would talk a lot about RFID, and I was talking a lot about how we could utilize Bitcoin technology to have carts where you literally pick something up and put it in your cart, and then whenever you walk out the door with it, it charges your account. And now we're seeing this type of stuff right now. Now, what do you wanted to bring up the smart meters? Are there anything specific that you're trying to bring up? Like, for me, I always think what are the downsides, the ways of using this technology for the wrong ways. But what is your thought here? What were you wanting to get out of the conversation today personally?
Well, the thing is that this stuff has existed since 2008. And the initial reason for it was so that we could conserve our power usage and use it smart. So that, if we had high demands at a certain point, we didn't have to black out sections of the city. And then they realized, well, wait a minute here. Once we have this technology in, there's so much more we can do with it. So now it's gotten to the point. Am I coming out okay?
Yeah, you're sounding fine.
So now it's gotten to the point that they're so eagerly salivating over what's coming next that that's what they're focusing on now. And so they've already they're already building pay points for the way that the system's going to be used. Now here we are running along parallel. Many of us haven't even heard of Zigbee before, which is disappointing. I think almost everybody should know what it is, especially if it's connected to your house and it's in your consumer goods. They're building out the way that we're going to transact monetarily in the future. And when I say the future, I mean in the next 2 to 5 years. They've already done beta tests in grocery stores. In the UK, they had 400 stores participate in the smart shelf technology. The more you research this on your own, because people listen to me and I seem to have all the answers, I really don't. I discovered everything I'm talking about in the last 24 hours. I knew some of it already, but how far it went and how deep it went, it's all out there right now. It's just nobody's looking for it or Googling it. We figure, well, they will take care of it, or somebody's going to, deal with it. This is up to us as knowledgeable consumers to know this stuff. And more than that, a lot of people are saying, well, wouldn't it be great if you just go to the grocery store and then when you go up to the cashier and you can hold up your phone and do a Bitcoin transaction? We're building technology to try and implement for today's world, as opposed to where it's going to be going in the next 2 to 5 years. There won't be a cashier to hold up your Bitcoin phone to, and you may not even use your phone. For all we'll know, it'll be an RFID in your grocery store card that zaps you through, and everybody's going to be electronic. Cash is going to be a thing of the past. So we need to be aware of where this is going and how we're going to plan to be able to handle this.
You can't count on the official story of where things are going to be where things are going. For example, with the smart meters, there may be a massive backlash against them. Their purpose is not really to save electricity. That's their stated purpose. Their real purpose is a scam to make money, and all the companies that deploy them are getting funded by the government to do it. They actually cost more for the home user. They cause fires. They have health hazards. There's a great documentary at takebackyourpower.net. So anyway, and plus even just EMF and wireless, all this stuff, as much as I love it, is untested health-wise, and there could be a backlash against all that as well. So the future that you say is coming might not be coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of what you just said, Brendel Swan, that's exactly true. I've seen that documentary that you're talking about, and they really do show a lot of the detrimental aspects of that technology, especially when it's mounted right on your house. My meter's 300 feet away from my house, so I don't have to worry about that aspect of it. But it is more about control than it is in extracting more money from us than it is about controlling energy flows, although that's a component of it. It's all into this this technocracy is really what this is all about here.
Just a note on your 300 meters, you might want to take a double measurement of that. It says the wireless ranges 70 meters indoors and up to 400 meters outdoors with full control of transmitted output power. So you might be 100 meters short of getting it away from you.
Well, that's good information to know.
It's bizarre that they even have a mesh net with these smart meters when they're already on a wire.
Well, here's the thing. They have a mesh net because they're going to be plugging in other things into this network. They already have street lights that will come on and then go off based on the mesh network. They've talked about doing surveillance on the sidewalks so that they have security cameras that are mounted on the street, and microphones next. Yeah, the smart shelves apparently are supposed to hear the do voice recognition, so that if somebody talks happily around a product going, oh, look at this, then they'll get feedback on that. Or they can do a facial scan, and if you are smiling when you're looking at a product or frowning, or they can determine your emotion. But that's far off stuff. See, this is the stuff that Brundleswan and whatever is talking about. The chances of us seeing that tomorrow is not very much. But the chance that your Hershey bar will have an RFID tag on it so that it can make it easier for you to be able to buy this product, or for your next TV to talk Zigbee to somebody, those products are probably already in our home now. Some of them.
Yeah, I know some of the potential consequences, though, of this technology is something that I think it's important to bring it up, even if it's going to be, 15 to 20 years out, because these are the types of questions that really hit at the root of why we are into this type of technology, right? We want to utilize technology generally to empower ourselves and humanity and to better our lives. Now, obviously, there are potential uses for this type of technology that are dangerous, right? And not something that would highly benefit society as the whole, right? So that's why I think that it's important for us to talk about it, because smart meters are something that are really potentially powerful and cool. But at the same time, we also should really question, do we want that technology to be something that we don't control? That smart meters hear that I'm upset or something, or they hear it in my voice that I'm mad. And something happens in my general vicinity where somebody gets hurt, and now I'm assumed to be the one who hurt them or something. You never know where these things can go, but these are the types of things that we should be talking about and how they can be misused, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts on how smart meters can be misused and that kind of stuff, Brindle?
Yeah, I'm here. I just highly recommend that Take Back Your Power documentary. It's really an amazing documentary. The whole economy, basically, by the widespread use of cell phones, got a huge boost, but it really is untested. All this stuff is untested, and I just see things changing with an economic collapse and war drastically, where there may be a rejection and we go towards open source solutions. And, I see the whole world changing, hopefully for the better, but also going through some really bad patches. So I'm babbling. I didn't expect you to call on me. I wasn't ready, teacher.
No, the reason why I bring it up is because it's important stuff. And Solomon actually says up here the same thing. He says, isn't there a way to take this tech and open source it?
I mean, honestly, I'm sorry, go ahead, Buzz. No, I was going to say. Go ahead. Are you copying me today? Are you copying me today?
Apparently. Continue.
No, go ahead. Okay, so I guess, at the end of the day, right, it comes down to options, people having competitive choices, or consumers having the ability to choose, right? So is there an open source version where at least if things really do hit the fan, we have an alternative, or at least people who can take that and then build alternative options that would at least give us a choice?
Unfortunately, go ahead, Intel guy.
Oh, I was just going to say, the number one thing I want to be able to see is the open source phone. Everybody thought it was Android. It's not Android when the hardware manufacturers have a monopoly on the hardware manufacturing. So until
that's what I was going to say. Sorry to interject here, but this is the point I was going to make, was that we are not even hardly aware of this new technology. I mean, the general population of consumers isn't. So when we can't make an informed decision if we're totally in the dark about what's coming, and it's very heavily planned already. So there's a lot of choices that are not going to ever be presented to people because they've already been made and they're moved on to the next series of choices that need to be done. So until we get informed, we're going to really be screwed.
Actually, right? It's been found that the hardware manufacturers are building backdoors into their own devices for people like the NSA, and encryption have been, there are backdoors in certain various kinds of encryption for the same reasons. These are the types of things that we're fighting against.
Right. So isn't that where more sophisticated 3D printing comes into play? Because the solution would be a combination of open tech, AI, and the ability to print or do your own hardware. In that sense, I think a solution like that would allow consumers or somebody to take up the initiative to, one, have the software, have it distributed wherever it needs to be, and then having the intelligence to print. Or obviously you need the material also, but again, that's why a company or a group or somebody could take that initiative to build these things outside of the quote unquote main grid.
And then what?
And then it's showtime, baby.
First of all, you're not going to be carried in any stores.
What does that mean? I mean, Amazon. Go ahead.
I was going to say that they have a way of regulating and checking and saying, well, this device, we haven't tested it yet to see if it doesn't cause fires. In our opinion, it does. Or it's off by a millimeter of a nanometer on this dimension, or this is the wrong glass. Or they will stall it and send you in circles so fast that's kind of why the auto manufacturers, with all their safety regulations and stuff, Tesla's coming out with the Tesla car and stuff like that, but you haven't seen a lot of very many startups over the years make it anywhere in the automotive business, and everybody tinkers and modifies existing vehicles, and there are some custom cars out there, but no one's ever been able to pull that off. Now we're going to find somebody that's going to pull off consumer goods or cell phones and stuff like that. You're going to be shut at every twist and turn possible.
The only other thing about that point of distribution of these meters and what have you, you're right. It won't be something that the consumer will see on the shelves of Walmart, because these are things that are installed by power companies. I mean, until that grid changes, they're going to be the drivers of what technology is done. Now, there could be pushback. I mean, especially if documentaries like the Take Back Your Power out there, people will start seeing their health is being affected by these meters, and we're seeing a lot of communities that are affected by these meters in a negative way from their health. Then you will see a reaction that might have enough power to push back against these electric monopolies, to where alternative meters will be proposed. But that won't be coming easily, that's for sure, because the power companies are driving this whole thing.
Okay, I see now. Okay, so we're talking. Okay, it's more clearer now. So it's really the power companies that we're talking about, and they are centralized. And it's almost like we're talking about having to decentralize them in order to have a sufficient solution.
Yes.
That's really intelligent. I mean, you think about the smart grid, and the concept that they're talking about, each home being able to potentially be a store of energy and an acquirer of energy, right? And each house can actually give power to other homes in that local area, right?
Yeah, it could potentially be used that way. That's why I've been kind of skeptical about the Gridcoin and how it could be used for actually amalgamating a lot of power from individual solar cell farms and people that have their own power sources, and how much in control will the homeowner be of where that power goes, and how much credit will they be given for that. And if that's all done legitimately, that's fine, but if it's done through sneaky backdoors and power company arrangements, then it's no longer fine, because the people that own it don't have control over it, and that's what we need to guard against.
Yeah, well, with the case of Gridcoin, I think that those various projects can pop up to compete against one another, and what I'm trying to get them to do is actually look at the potential for each project to have its own coin, or token that's traded on BitShares that is traded for Gridcoin, and then the market can decide which projects are the most valuable. That way, if you have like a solar project that is doing it the wrong way and is, trying to control everything on their end, then maybe there's a way of doing it beyond that. Now, I don't know. Maybe from a technical standpoint, I'm missing something, and if that's the case, feel free to speak up, because this is a good place for people who are listening to learn whenever one of us learns. But I think that the projects themselves, that, if that's something that they do well, then they could be very valuable.
Well, one of the things I invite people to do, I'm going to kind of conclude this and then open the floor up to whatever, or we can talk about this during the after show if anybody wants to hang around. But if you go to zigbee.org, zigbee.org, they have a certified product listing that I think it's 44 pages long and has well over 1,000 existing products that have already been developed and are available. And somebody scoffed at it the last time I gave them that link and go, look at this, some idiot made a Zigbee light switch as if we're all going to run out there and go buy one. That's not how it works. It means that the next condominium or apartment building will automatically get these involved or put these in, right? And a lot of this technology, they're not dumb to be doing the research development, come up with a prototype, and actually manufacture these without any kind of goal on how many they're going to be needing and when. They know how many they're going to be needing and when. It's already in the cards.
People don't understand supply chains for different types of industries, is what you're getting at there, and unfortunately, they're well past the whole idea of marketing directly to consumers. I found the whole idea of marketing drugs to individual consumers was quite surprising in that regard too.
Very good comment.
The supply chains are the thing, absolutely. That's what makes hardware hard. That's what concentrates hardware in Asia too.
I was hoping you were going to be here because I didn't see you earlier, but for that, question for you. So everybody talked about, well, as long as we get open source software on existing phones by jailbreaking them, or then Android came out and said, listen, any Chinese manufacturer can put Android. What did they do? They put it on tablets, not so much cell phones, even though they do have those pirated clone phones. That's probably the best open source that I can see, is clone phones. But is there a chance that you foresee that somehow there could be an open source phone where the manufacturing happens open source, the software is open source, the distribution's open source, and anybody that has what do you call it, a leg in the fire? That's probably what it's going to be in the long run, but any major monopoly can't shut it down, buy it up, stop it with regulations, lobby against it, and get the government support to stop it from happening?
I'm pretty sure that would happen. The real question in my mind is, in the long run, does the open product succeed? Sure, you're going to get fucked with. You're going to get fucked with left, right, center, back, forward, up, down. It's going to be fucking horrible. But it might be doable. I'd like to do it. I'm looking at this Libran page here.
Fuzzy, look at your timeline. You're editing that out for sure.
Now, why would I do that? Anyway, so that's going to be a huge problem. But you might be able to get around it. The real question is, can you get enough people to buy it to fund the whole project and make the company secure? And that way, because the company is cash heavy, it can continue to exist. But that's really the only way. And regarding the government, dude, it's really difficult to get stuff certified. It's both very expensive and very slow, and I'm probably not going to do it. When I release hardware, I'll just sell it.
Well,
okay, Fuzzy, go ahead and take it from here.
Thank you. I don't want to take this too much longer because we are running a little bit behind. Now, we're doing pretty well, but, this is what tends to happen. These conversations do not want to fit into a 30-minute period of time, which is why we have an after party. But we do want to give a good synopsis of what each of you are working on, and provide those updates to the people who listen to these Hangouts. So today I want to say that there is one final person here who wants to join us and talk, and they are at 98 cents, and that is Solomon Sollers and Cents. And he is going to be joining to give us some updates on Sollywood Sollers and Cents project. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the talking stick and step down from the podium, Solomon, and please feel free to give up some updates.
Absolutely. It's good to be back, guys. Just here to kind of give an update on the project where we're at and kind of the new direction that we're going. And we'll wait for another Hangout to kind of do an introduction for the new direction and, you know, all the moving parts. But essentially, we have development of the Sollywood TV marketplace actually happening, and it's looking very good, including our iOS app, which we're in the design phase for. We're in the development phase for the desktop app. We're in the design phase for the iOS app. And if people forgot, you know, the basis of the New Money project is to create a mainstream digital currency that is used by mainstream people, particularly Americans. And when you go into the American demographic, specifically millennials, the 18 to 36-year-old demographic. So, yeah, we, over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks, we've been exploring the possibility of creating our own blockchain, which makes sense for us now that we have some development and it's looking very good. And I'll be able to post some of the screenshots in a bit. But we have decided to hold off the Kickstarter in favor of doing a second, much bigger crowd sale, which we're preparing for now. And so that is the goal now, is to hold sometime in Q1 of 2017 a proper crowd sale, ICO, whatever you want to call it. But definitely with what we have here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, Ken, we are going to, and that's it about, you know, it's a good question, you know, building on top of you know, your own chain or building on top of a current graphene chain. We will be both graphene and another type of blockchain. But it's sort of like asking the question, well, why didn't you just build Steem on top of BitShares? Well, when you have a certain goal, which we do, which is mainstream adoption, there's usually configurations that work for that goal that you have. The same thing is for our project. There's a specific way that we can configure a lightweight blockchain that will allow us to really gain mainstream adoption in the same way that Steem got their mainstream adoption, or at least achieved it in the beginning of their launch. So the same thing is for us with Sollywood TV. Since we are aiming at millennials, there's certain things that will allow us, there's certain things that we can do if we had our own chain that we wouldn't be able to do if we were on somebody else's. So that's why we decided to build our own blockchain, own lightweight blockchain. And again, it will be based off of both graphene and another blockchain toolkit that's based in Tendermint. I'm sorry, go ahead. Did somebody talk, or am I?
I don't know.
I was waiting for Technomanch. Just to let you know, Technomanch, please, Techno Comanche rather, please consider plugging in some headphones. This has been something that's been going on throughout this Hangout, so I don't want to keep you muted all the time. But for anybody who is here, please consider that there are individuals who are listening to the Hangouts, and that the fewer of these interruptions we have, the better.
Yeah,
Sorry
no worries.
about that,
And yeah, no worries, no worries. And I'll be able to post some of the screenshots soon. But you know, Steem has clearly showed there's one blockchain this year, because we're getting close to this year ending. There's one blockchain this year that has proven without a doubt that you do not need a souped up feature rich, decked out blockchain in order to, one, provide utility, and two, reach a market cap that potentially reflects that utility. And I've said from the very beginning that, you know, we're in a space, the visual content cable TV streaming space, which is a $200 billion a year industry that is currently being disrupted from all ends. We're in that very space, and we're aiming at a demographic that no other blockchain has. No other not even Steem, no other blockchain has the millennial demographic that is constantly doing transactions on their blockchain. And the millennial demographic, again, is the only demographic that has ever had investors invest billions of dollars with no revenue model. Not only do we have a revenue model, but we have one that appeals directly to these millennials that I'm talking about. And millennials is simply where we start. It is not where we end. You see, once you provide the actual utility, then you have the precedent to say, okay, we can go here, we can go there, we can go anywhere. But first, like any other startup, you have to provide a real utility that people are actually using, solve a real problem that people are actually using. And so when it comes to that, again, that's why we're deciding to do our own blockchain, raise our own funds to make this a reality, because we have an opportunity to do something similar to what Steem did, but with our demographic. And so we'll be holding, just to give a very brief description, we'll be holding something like let's call it an online fest, where whatever we raise plus a part of our token will go to all the content creators that's on our platform. That's similar to what Steem did with their July 4th essential share drop, which is the one action that allowed their blockchain to really take off, if you want to say. We're going to do the same thing with our blockchain, but we're going to do it with content creators who have audiences and content creators who need a platform like this. I think that kind of marketing tool will allow our blockchain to really expand into that demographic and take us to where we need to get. So I'm really excited about this new direction. It makes sense, and for where we're going. And so that is pretty much what I have to say right now. And I'll post up some screenshots of our desktop app, but that's the update for now. And I will have a more formal, because you know me, I like to make videos that illustrate what we're doing. So we'll have a more formal introduction either next week or another week, where I can kind of, give a speech or whatever on what we're doing. And it's gonna be fun. So yeah, if there's any questions,
Well, I think that it's cool that Ken Code is bringing up a valid point, of course, that that the BitShares chain can accomplish a lot of things that people might want to use it for. I also understand the side where people are going to want to create their own blockchains. And I will also say that one of the most important things in my mind as far as the reason for creating your own blockchain is simply the fact that, and this is a fact, that if you have your own blockchain, the token is worth in the market far more. And I don't know why that is in terms of the value proposition, because in my mind, oftentimes using something like the BitShares network would make it so your project is actually more efficient, because it's not having to necessarily pay as many fees and paying for its own blockchain. That's just perhaps some cases.
Well, no, Fuzzy, I think you're right. But I think another point to make, especially with a lot of these new people who are in crypto, let's be real.
Sure.
Everybody wants the feel of being in Bitcoin 5 years ago.
Yes, you're right.
That is
100%.
that is only possible, well, most of the time, that's only possible if you're putting in value into these new blockchains. Because again, it's like being in Bitcoin. You're hoping it's like being in Bitcoin 4 or 5 years ago. We do have a problem with people thinking it's like being in Bitcoin. It's like going to take 6 months. But remember, it took Bitcoin 4 years. But that's the real reason why blockchains that are new rather than I think Ethereum's the only project where they've got tons of projects that are being built on Ethereum that are raising crazy amounts of money. But besides Ethereum, I mean, you're going to raise more money with the right pitch, with the right tech, with the right division. Some of these projects don't even have blockchains. They just have white papers and ideas and some superstar, well, quote unquote, superstar developer. So, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to be in Bitcoin 5 years ago and have made that investment. And so they get to do that with these new blockchains that are promising a different vision and a different way or a different direction in terms of who they're appealing to. My problem, certainly. My problem with what's being shown today, specifically in the media industry, we've got great projects. We've got Decent. We've got Singular DTV. We got this new SteemQ. We've got a lot of ideas that are floating around on how to use blockchain technology to kind of quote unquote disrupt our industry. The problem is a lot of these projects don't have a focus on actually solving a pain point that's either in consumers' lives or a demographic that they're appealing to. Remember, I've been making films for 12 years. 12 years. I've been in this industry for a very long time. I know my industry. So when I see projects that are launching or that are trying to disrupt the industry, it's gonna get my attention. Streamium was another one last year. Streamium was supposed to be the big thing, and they kind of fell out, and specifically for specific reasons. Again, if you're gonna come into this industry, you have to actually be solving a pain point for these either content creators or consumers. I can tell you right now that the biggest pain point for most content creators, I'm talking about the content creators you don't see on Netflix, the content creators that can't make enough with YouTube, their problem is not anything to do with decentralization or being able to host their content. Their problem is that they don't have a way to correctly price their content. They do not have a monetary unit that allows them to reflect the actual value of what they created to their audience. And so they're looking for that. And that is what Dollars and Cents Smart Money provides through Sollywood TV. We're actually trying to solve a real pain point for those content creators and then build from there. Solve a problem, build from there. Everyone does it. Uber did it. Facebook did it. Snapchat did it. Everybody does it. Solve a problem, then you can go wherever you want to. And so again, when I look at these other projects, they've got great teams, they've got great tech, but are they really solving a problem that people want? That's the question.
And so real quick, I mean, we could go a little bit further into what Ken's talking about, but we've talked about this a lot in the past. So for those who are listening today, if you want to listen to more discussion on it, there have been many Hangouts with Solomon, and those Hangouts actually have talked quite a bit about this subject as well. The question of whether to move on to a new chain or to stay on BitShares. I personally see no problem either way. Obviously, using BitShares for multiple services is better for BitShares, but as an exchange that trades all of these DACs, I see it being fine as well.
I wanted to mention we will be share dropping because it's the right thing to do. We will be share dropping a part of our new coin supply on BitShares holders.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's the right thing to do. It's the principle that all of us original BitShares, it's the right thing to do. If you speak your word, you say you're going to do something, I believe that you should do it.
One thing I'd one thing I'd like to see you do, Solomon, is along the lines of Ken Code is asking, is what are the specific shortcomings or issues with the existing graphene toolkits that are not appropriate for you to use that as a basis for your dollars and cents project?
Right. So, that's the. I'm so sorry about this. So that's the other element of this project right now. And we've reached out to a bunch of developers. Some have gotten back to us, some haven't. But majority of the developers that we've reached out to have been very, very open to this project and our direction and where we're going. And I'm very grateful to a lot of people. You know, I haven't specifically asked them if I can mention their name with this project, so I'm not going to reveal anything. But there have been conversations that are ongoing now about whether graphene is the appropriate foundation for this project, or other options like Tendermint and other lightweight blockchains that could possibly serve as a better foundation. That is an ongoing conversation. The biggest problem for my project has always been not having the correct development. But now that we do have developers that are interested, I think that will be a conversation that we'll have, especially with the wider, community, about what is really beneficial for us to start. The main thing is understanding we're not trying to be Ethereum. We're not trying to be BitShares with a full out DEX and all of that. We don't need any of that. Again, Steem proved you don't need a souped up blockchain to create value. And we're going to prove the same thing, but in a different demographic. It's still within mainstream, but it's a different demographic. So it's going to take a different it's a different business model. Blogging is not the same thing as visual content. They have two different sets of problems. And so we're going to use the knowledge that I have, turn that knowledge into a lightweight blockchain, and whoever is holding the value of that blockchain will reap the reward.
And didn't you talk about a little bit with me the potential of giving tokens to content creators who move their content to Sollywood?
Yeah, like not only because we did talk about that, Fuzzy, and I'll have a better explanation of the reward system for the blockchain again some other time. But just briefly, the main difference with our blockchain is that the number one goal of the blockchain existing is for mainstream adoption. So our reward system and every component of the blockchain will be geared towards that goal. So if we're going to be rewarding people in the system, it's because they're achieving that goal, adoption.
So maybe like proof of content.
Well, I don't know what I want to call it yet, but what our tokens, right? People will be rewarded for doing actions, again, that achieve adoption, whether that's buying solars or buying content or content creators making solars or choosing content that rises to the top or being the first in, for content that rises. People will get rewarded for those actions. So it's very similar to if you were to subscribe to Netflix early, $7.99 a month, and Netflix in return for you subscribing to them paid you Netflix stock. In their early days, it's the same kind of system here that we're kind of reward system that we're kind of trying to build in terms of rewarding people for doing actions that bring our blockchain to the mainstream.
Sounds like your discussions with regard to developers has led you to being a lot more open-minded to alternatives besides graphene. And I'm wondering you're right. You probably could use a tailor-made thing and it don't have to have all the fluff and extra things that BitShares provides, but it doesn't mean that you have to use all that stuff to implement what you want. And implementing a whole nother chain, may not be the right way to go. It just depends on what the developers want to do. It's really a matter of the development team you put together and what they are familiar with and what they're comfortable moving forward with.
Right. Yes. And like I said, those conversations are being had currently, and they will continue to be had. I think the biggest thing is, again, making sure that that everything that we're building is to achieve that one goal, which is mainstream adoption. It's not to, try to get an options or this kind of market. No, we're aimed at one group of people. We're going to try to get them to use our blockchain through our marketplace. There has been a project that has already proven that works, which is Steem. It's the most successful blockchain of this year. They've already proven that model works. We're going to take that and apply. We're going to take those principles. We're going to take those principles and we're going to gear that towards another segment of mainstream people. And so, that's why we're holding a second crowd sale. That's why we're building our own blockchain, so that value can really be had and can really be enjoyed by our supporters.
And in many respects, it seems like it doesn't really matter what the underlying technological platform is. If what you're trying to accomplish is simple enough to where many other alternative blockchains technologies could be used to implement it, then what it brings to mind is that the goals of the Dollars and Cents projects to reach a mainstream audience means that there's a lot of things that were built into the blockchain, into the graphene blockchain, aren't even going to be important, because privacy, for example, people in the mainstream don't give a shit about privacy, but that's an important principle that blockchains are built on. So you may discover that what you might want to gain mainstream adoption is people that don't care about privacy. They are more than willing. You wanted to make it very convenient for them to use their real identities, because that's what their finances are all tied to. So there's some things where you may discover kind of butting heads against the fundamentals of blockchain technology, because people in the blockchain space don't care about the things that the people in the mainstream space think about.
I think you're right, Tom. I think you're absolutely right. But I think it's very crucial to understand where we start is not where we end. We can do updates. We will build, because I've expressed a lot that I'm an American. I believe in private property. My Americanism is based on a lot of what the founding fathers and constitutionalism is based in. And so I believe in certain principles that I cannot sit back and not eventually implement into this new blockchain or the blockchain journey that we're taking. My only thing is that we start with a blockchain. We start with a blockchain where all the features that it have are geared towards achieving an actual goal, that we're not sitting here promising that we're just going to build a platform and everybody's going to come because, hey, we just built a platform, so it makes sense, right? No, that is not how technology gets adopted. You have to be solving a problem, and so that's my main concern is that we're actually building something because Ken is right. Everybody's launching a blockchain. Everybody, so it makes it kind of like when you actually come with an actual idea that makes sense to have a blockchain, you easily get lumped. Like, oh, you just want to do another blockchain. But no, that is not what we're trying to do here. We're actually trying to do this because it makes the most sense for our project and where it's at right now and the things that we want to do. If I had, $1 million worth of shares, it'd be great. We could do it on this. But that's not something that we have. But we can have that with what we've been building and what we plan to build. What we can show what we built. And as a matter of fact, I'll start posting some of these screenshots. But we can show things that we built and people will instantly get it. That we're trying to do Steem again. Steem is not the only project that can appeal to mainstream people. We have a project that is relevant that, again, can appeal to mainstream people.
Ken Code is saying, I will build more features for the BTS platform if funding is provided for it. Well, I guess you already told Ken that you would talk to him behind the scenes about this. So let's
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Ken we're gonna hopefully be based off of a combination of certain blockchains. Ken, I'm raising money to get people like you to build these things that we need. I mean, that's exactly why we're doing these things, because we need the fundings. People can't live off of air and promises. They need actual resources to build these things. I'm telling you, I have not only a vision, you guys know I can make content. You've seen the things I can make. And that's with nothing. So I have the vision, the content, and now we've had developers who are actually interested in our project. We can raise the amount needed to build these tools. We can take Beyond Bitcoin to the place that it needs to be. We can do all these things. It's just people need to come together to support this project as we move towards this new goal of another crowd sale. If we can do that, we can raise everything we need to make this happen. You see what's happening right now. And these projects don't even have code. They don't even have original code, you know? So, yeah.
Well, I would love to hear what you guys come up with after you talk. So please consider joining us for next week's Hangout to talk a little bit about it. Right now, I would like to just thank everybody for joining the Hangout this week. And I want to just, leave you with all with one thought. And that is, how can we leverage this to benefit the projects that we are working on and the projects that we want to kind of help build synergies with, right? So each of you, I would like you to consider how you can reach out and how you can help. And I would like you to consider doing what you want to do and volunteering in your own unique way that you want to volunteer in, and try to post about it on Steemit and add the Beyond Bitcoin tag. I would like to help upvote and keep people up to date on the things that are going on in different blockchains, but with special emphasis on graphene chains, because I believe that there's going to be many various graphene chains in the future that are all going to connect together in various ways. And I think that if we can empower all of us to improve the projects that are going to be utilizing these graphene chains or these new graphene chains themselves, I think that we only win in that equation. So just please consider that. We've gotten so far, and we've gotten here because of all of you and some of the new people who are here today. So please continue recognizing your own value. Share these Hangouts with others. Share the RSVP thread with others. Tell other people that this is what we're here for, so they can get their word out. We do this in a way that brings down the barriers and at the same time gives us an order and a way that people can see those who have gained the most respect in our ecosystem. So leverage that, use it.